I'd like to show you something.
The pace when I'm running, I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm
You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky?
Good evening. Welcome, one and all, to the Toxic Tuesday. Thank you for being here. I know there's some big show going on that will not be discussed here tonight, but the fact that you all chose here is great because I was like, probably no one here for this one, and I get it. I don't blame you, but you chose here anyway. So thank you all very much for making that choice. So let's look at some people here. All right, let's see all those names here. I see a D. Bud Martin, Dave C. Putin's Kid, Vince Womack, Stephen Mack, Davina Duckworth, Snortapoopus Cuber. What's going on, Snortapoopus? Yaknamino, what's going on? 11 Alpha, Mr. Zenon, 1994. What's up, Zenon? JT Kirk, Penny. How's it going, Penny? Looks like we get those are the ones who are commenting for now. So whoever else is lurkers, Nick's face will be back. So there's your quick answer there. I trimmed it all off to regrow it. So that was absolutely done on purpose. So anyways, guys, thank you seriously for being here. I know once again show's going on and you chose here, and I'm ready for this because you know what? It's back in school session, and well, it's always fun to reminisce about what it was like during these crazy times that I didn't live through, but I always watched through because of movie media. Is that right, Red Shirt?
That is right. And I want to know, who are you and what have you done with 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser?
He's dead.
This movie was everything my high school was not, but I wish that it had been when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, why didn't I go there in high school? Mom, Dad, we're living in the wrong place.
I know, right? So it's like you see what's going on here, like, man, this is awesome. Like, I want to go here. Where have I been all my life? You see an area where there's tons of toilet paper being tossed around. It's like, this is like my natural habitat. Look at all the chaos. A kid has a bottle of Hennessy in his locker. Like, dude, and that's just a Monday morning for these kids. Like, please,
Yes.
We need to move here, Mom and Dad. Please.
And the older I said this backstage, the older I get, the more I identify with Mr. Hand.
Oh, dude, he's outstanding.
He is so good.
I can see him being one of those roles that maybe if you watch this movie as a teenager, you're kind of probably on the fence. There's parts that are admittedly funny that you don't want to say because you're kind of already naturally rebellious like Sean Penn against teachers. But then as an adult, you see it from his point of view so much more and how right he was on a lot of things.
The fact that just before he explodes, It's when the pizza gets delivered.
Oh,
And Spicoli gives him that bullshit excuse. And he's about ready to just turn around and throw a piece of chalk at him or something. And then he suddenly, you can almost see the light bulb go on over his head. We'll talk about it.
yeah.
He comes up with a whole new approach to Spicoli, and Spicoli has no idea what to do about it.
It's great. It's one of those moments where you're like, wow, they actually made the teacher seem cool, and almost like he made his rebellion backfire at him. It was like, damn.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, we'll save the rest for you. But what's up, Mr. Dustin?
What's happening, fellas?
Yeah, man.
Am I supposed to be erect right now? Or, I mean, I don't know. Your chest hair is doing something for me. I don't know. I mean, you know.
I
I'm glad
prefer
the camera
waxed.
stops here. You can't see what I've got, you know.
Yeah, I prefer them waxed, but that's all right. I like the hardwood floors.
Oh my God. This is gonna be a gay show just because of this. We haven't.
That's why you want his
We're already
mustache back.
starting.
It did not take long to start because it never does. Hi, 70s.
Hello. Can I just say that you're looking sexier than ever, Nick? And that's
you erect
hard.
too,
That's
70s?
hard to do. You were pretty sexy to start with.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, this is a weird movie for me because it's so far removed from the Scottish high school experience being whacked out California. But there is one piece of universal advice in it, which is the character Mike Damone when he says, when it comes to making out, whenever possible, put on side one of Led Zeppelin 4.
Yeah.
That's universal.
Yeah. So, by the way, guys, 70s is going to be the one taking care of the slideshow. Thank you, by the way, 70s. However,
Don't thank me yet.
Mark D with a C did set up some video clips for us tonight that he didn't have to. So we thank you, Mark, for doing that, because I know, obviously, Mark is very involved in politics on the local area. So Mark, we appreciate that. But thank you for still setting us up for some success, regardless, because he didn't have to, but he still did some stuff anyways. But thank you, 70s, for taking over for the duties.
You haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I haven't, but I'm still thankful. I'm still thankful. So
It's either too long or too short. One or the
other.
Is it too big? Is it too small?
I don't know. That's Tom.
Tom.
you do with my daddy? I don't like it.
Could you imagine if I shaved?
Dude.
It's not going to happen.
Did
but
your
could you
kids act that
imagine?
way the first time they ever saw you like that, or
Who?
My kids.
any of you guys? I'm sure. I think that's hilarious. Yeah.
So the first time I ever cut off my long hair was my youngest. She was 3, and she said, "Put your hair back on your head, Dad." That's a
I heard that a lot too.
Yeah, here, let me just go get some tape, and I'll just put it right back on, because I shaved my head, like literally like bald and everything. Like I took razors, and I just I went all in, and I'm just like, because I could just just put it right back on. It's gonna look just like it did before. Totally.
I love how Brian was kind of like speaking for all of us bald men on the panel, slowly dying inside. When
I know. You have the luxury.
I like the fact that Brian almost has Phoebe Cates' tits in a bikini.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Now I'm extra hard.
That's the closest I'm going to get.
life is good, moving in stereo.
There you go. There you go.
And this is where we are at.
That's it. I'm going off screen and I'm just spending time with myself tonight.
Oh,
Brian will be in his bunk.
On the bathroom.
So basically, like how most young teenage boys and adolescent teenage boys would have enjoyed this film. Okay,
Why would I
gotcha.
go anywhere
Of
if I had
course.
those? Yeah.
All right. Okay. You know what? I just realized. Let's get this slide going. All right. Let's get to it.
Oh, we're
Fat
getting
Girl.
straight
I
into
have
it.
never seen that poster before.
I ain't either, but it looks killer.
Hang
It looks-
on.
Yeah.
Let's go back
Bring
and
it
see
back.
it again.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can
Please,
find it.
Brian. That's awesome. I've never seen that.
Yeah,
That's
like,
cool.
The
I
powers of the internet.
Do we know who did that piece?
I
Did we
don't
ever
know.
get a name on that?
No, I just downloaded it as you do. Searched for a quad poster. Download it. Could be a UK one, I guess, because I searched for quad posters because
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, so not the narrow ones, but the quad foldable 4-part ones.
So is the burger
So
bouncing?
it
off
could
her
be
ass?
it could be a UK version. Yeah.
Is that burger bouncing off her ass?
It
Look
was.
at the
Like
flight.
a quarter.
I hope it's bouncing off of her ass and not coming out of it.
her ass.
You would eat it anyway.
But yeah, quad posters are the best because they're kind of.
That's not the goddamn point.
What is the point?
God damn, I miss malls.
Oh, dude.
Oh, I know.
right?
Like, I mean, this movie
Proper
is
malls.
definitely like for like 2 generations. I would say it probably covers pretty well, like that late 70s, early 80s, plus into the 80s generation. I mean, they can relate to this. I mean, I was in elementary school, and even as a high schooler, I could still relate to this film. And I definitely related to it a lot, over and over and over again. And over
Usually,
again.
was toilet paper normally involved, Tom?
And lotion.
Lotion.
Doesn't anybody fucking knock anymore?
Rubs the lotion on.
So, no BS. When I was rewatching it earlier, my girlfriend came in the room while I was watching that movie, and then he literally says that line. And then she had a laugh. She's like, wow, I didn't knock on the door. I just walked in here.
So wait a minute. I'm fascinated by the stores in this mall. Was that Licorice something or other? It was a record store.
Oh,
Are these real stores? Hang on.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
go
think
back.
they're real stores.
None of the actual like restaurants are that I know
Okay,
of, but
they're all faked. Okay. But we wouldn't know. I mean, when this was out, it was in the UK. There you go. Licorice Pizza
Mom
records.
and I were friends.
tapes
in
and
high
videos.
school. We would have been at the pizza.
see that place
together
might actually
every
be
day.
real. It sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah. But I'm fascinated by them. I always loved that when back in the day watching American movies from the UK and seeing all the
Because this was
different
shot in a
stores.
functioning mall, wasn't it?
Yeah, it must
It
have
looks
been.
like shit. It looks. See, I would like to know which mall this is because obviously the biggest one in my state, which is still going, is Woodfield, and I don't know. I don't think it's Mall of America. Mall of America is like 3 or 4 floors. And I
Oh,
haven't-
this was way before that even
Yeah,
existed.
this was the Galleria in Sherman Oaks.
I was gonna say, yeah, this was probably
I'm
yeah.
just
There you
looking
go.
it up. Yeah.
Did they? Did I mean?
Isn't
this
that the
is
same
this
one
the
they filmed Bill and Ted at too?
It says
Commando.
interiors Ridgemont.
Or come on, one of those, yeah.
So Ventura Boulevard, Sherman Oaks. Yeah.
Well, and I think we need to
Interesting.
just get into some background on this movie first and foremost.
slide in, Tom.
It really helps if you've
Habs
seen the
jersey.
movie.
Habs jersey.
Everybody in the chat, raise your hands if you've seen Almost Famous. Okay, good. You need to
I've
see
seen
it.
Untitled, which is my favorite part of it.
Okay, so basically, that movie is about an individual named Cameron Crowe. And who was Cameron Crowe? Well, Cameron Crowe was this child phenom who graduated high school early, I believe, or dropped out early, one of the two, and went to write for Rolling Stone and I believe a couple other magazines at the time. I don't know. Brian might be able to remember the
Cream, I
names of them.
think. Cream
Yeah.
and Rolling Stone, yeah.
Yep. And so he followed around like Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, a bunch of bands in their heyday. And then after he was done doing all that shit, he still looked young enough, so he's like, I'm gonna go undercover in a high school and just observe kids now and see what they're up to. And so this movie is literally like shit that had happened around him at the school. Obviously, they're probably amalgamized characters. He clearly didn't use anybody's real names or anything like that.
Oh, of course. But he used their
But
life
supposedly all
experience.
this shit actually happened. Okay, so it's based on like actual stories and things that he observed and
Yeah.
was a part of. So yeah,
Well,
I
I
wrote
believe
this.
it.
The
I believe it.
scary part is that not only then did most of this stuff actually happen, so did most of Animal House.
right. Well, and the
So-
thing is with this one as opposed to Animal House, I haven't read the book, but I think the book is written more like an article form. If I'm saying like it's just more of a chronicle, because like I
Right.
think for the movie they actually had to kind of pull together a story. And I remember what's her face, the director was talking about how she kind of had to pick certain characters, and then from there it was okay, you have these main characters you're following, and then you have their buds, right? So
Right.
like it was, so like
Yeah.
she kind of just created the little cliques and the groups, but through these main characters. But yeah,
Yes.
The buds and the butts.
But yes, it's more not so much of a plot in this. It's more a series of vignettes connected by
Yes.
various pieces. So it's things that happened and scenes.
Yeah.
it's basically a year in their school year.
And it's
Yeah.
going through
Yeah.
it in
Right.
fast motion, aka fast times.
Well, the Fast Times works for many things. These kids, the part of the whole reason, because I think it started out as a series of articles initially was the point. But the whole thing was supposed to be this expose and how kids are living these fast lives nowadays, you know, having sex, doing drugs, all this other shit that kids normally weren't doing in the 50s or 60s so much, right? Like, I mean, maybe in the 60s, but not so much in the 50s and prior to that, where, you know, and teenage culture, we've had out now an entire generation or two where teenage culture had been, you know, the main kind of thing deciding pop culture.
There was a Van Halen t-shirt in the background.
Yep.
Specifically Van Halen 2, I think.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, holy shit, is she hot in this movie?
Oh,
And she's
God, yeah.
young as shit too. She's like what, 19, I think here.
He was
Well, her
19 when it
character is
filmed. I
19.
think was 20 when
She
this
was-
came out.
When she was talking with Phoebe Cates' God, what's Phoebe Cates' character's name? Why am I already forgetting her? Oh, Linda. When they're talking, and she said, wasn't she referring to Stacy, aka Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, as someone who was actually not old enough to talk to the guy? Didn't she actually lie about her age to him? The guy who's supposed to look like Richard Gere?
In real life or in the movie?
In the
movie, yeah, no, she's
I don't
totally.
think she was 19.
Well, that's something that happened. all
No,
the
in the
time.
movie, she's only playing like 14, 15 or whatever
Yeah,
it
she
is.
said,
Yeah.
she said she's really 14.
Yeah.
So like, woo. This is.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's like.
and that's supposedly one of the more controversial stories in the book and articles from my memory was that,
Forrest
yeah,
Whitaker.
was how these kids at like 13, 14 years old were already losing their virginity and shit, and how it was like just this thing, you know, becoming an epidemic or whatever. Yeah.
Go back to the Whitaker really quickly.
I'll
'Cause
try. Yeah,
I want
it's,
to. There's one thing I want to point out about Whitaker, like you get to like his eye wasn't fully lazy.
it wasn't as funky then, was it?
No.
what's
no,
her?
it's like-
What's that's
like
what's her
30
face from
minutes.
SNL too, isn't it? I'm trying to think of her name.
There's a lot of faces. Don't worry, he'll pop
That's
up.
quite a deep cast, yeah.
Oh yeah, huge
Dwarfs.
cast.
Coming
Oh,
back
wait a
to
minute.
What's up?
Here's a good piece of trivia for you I just found today. I bet there's one famous actor you'd missed in this movie because he was basically a nameless extra. It was his first paid role, Nicolas Cage.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
yeah.
Nicolas Cage. Oh, everybody
Cage.
knows
Under
that.
Nicholas
Yeah.
Coppola.
There we go.
Oh,
there
thanks
it
a
is.
lot, Tom. You're such a help.
Sorry,
Look at, yeah, look this is
that's
dude,
because
you know,
that's pretty much a trivia question. Yeah, usually.
when you see Forrest Whitaker in their movies, he usually looks like this smaller guy in their movies. But this movie actually made him look like a big guy, like wearing.
Oh
the,
no,
like,
he's a big fucking dude in real life.
He's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
pretty hefty guy. Yeah, he's pretty
But
tough.
he didn't look small in Bloodsport. Let me
I was
tell
gonna say,
you.
look at him compared to Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah, it's
I'll have
another
to
one.
rewatch it. I'll have to rewatch.
Because Robin Williams is like 5'9" or 5'8" or whatever. And he's a little stocky, but I mean, fucking Forrest like dwarfs his ass. Like,
So
Yep.
is Robert Romanus, Mike Damone who's meant to be the Cameron Crowe of the piece then? And
I don't think Cameron wrote himself into
he
this
didn't.
piece.
No, I
I don't
just wondered
think
if
so.
there was an observer. I couldn't think of which one.
I
of them
think
might
that's
be
what he
him.
was more of an observer. That's where Almost Famous is more personal to him. Like that is his story. Like the other times, I don't think he ever really self-inserted himself into his work.
Hmm.
the character of Brad Hamilton. To think that was almost Tom Hanks's part.
If anything, his stand-in was probably John Cusack, I would imagine.
John Cusack?
Cusack? Judge Reinhold.
No, I mean in like latter films. Like
Oh, right. I thought you
Larry.
meant this movie. Sorry.
No, in
yeah,
this
I think
movie,
so.
no, because I think Judge Reinhold is meant to be, because he's that senior, he's that older kid. I mean, that's the great thing about a lot of these characters. I mean, I know a lot. I mean, we all grew up with most of these guys, right? And
Oh, yeah.
gals.
We all.
So, I mean,
we
they're all
knew a
kind of
guy or
a-
girl like all these types. Oh,
They're kind of a stereotype, I guess, in a way, especially Spicoli, but
He's beyond
I
stereotype.
knew a few Spicolis.
I bet you there's at least 2 Spicolis on this panel right
Well, see, like when
Well,
I was
Nick's
in
the
high
closest.
school, when I was in high school, we
Gnarly.
didn't have a Spicoli, but we had the guy from Dazed and Confused, the guy with the long hair,
Slater?
yeah.
But
Well,
I
Slater
had
was
a couple of
basically
those in high
Spicoli
school.
before Spicoli.
Yeah.
Right, so that was that generation stoner. The stoners in the 80s were all the surfer dudes.
Right. Well, on the West Coast they were. On the East Coast,
Right.
They were just the guys who hung out at the smoking
The
area.
beatniks and the
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sure Sean Penn's ever played a more likable guy.
This is his
ever.
best role ever.
Oh.
I don't give a shit what anybody
Yeah, I
says.
agree.
He plays some real shits in
The
later movies.
it's the reason why anytime he's doing anything, like it's always being brought up in any conversation. Like this movie is one of those things where he will always be defined by this movie for better and worse. I mean, I don't know how he personally feels about it, but yeah. It's
What's
such
your
one of those things
problem,
where
bud? Problem? No problem.
He hit a home run early in his life, for better or worse. Some see that
Yeah.
as good, some see that.
You know
as
what's
a
funny
negative.
is I think he basically is channeling his brother. I don't know if anybody
Oh,
else.
No, it could
Yes.
be. Yeah, it could be.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
No, okay. I gotta ask you guys, what was there multiple Pat Benetars when you guys were in school in the 80s?
No,
I saw a couple there.
Maybe it's for
There's
the
a
older
couple there.
guys.
Because I'm like, because obviously they're mentioning like, what is it with the guys liking the Pat Benetars? I'm just like, I mean, I was
Madonna
like,
was
what
still
the heck?
popular, but Pat Benatar kind of fell out in the mid 80s. I mean, maybe some of the older guys can speak to that, but
And by the time I was starting to pay attention to girls in school, they were already moved on and they were like trying to do the Axl Rose thing and they had the teased hair real high.
See, that's what you guys
okay.
experienced in
80s
the
hair
UK.
band era,
In the
yeah.
UK, they still look like punks or early new wave, moving into Human League type look. That look, the new romantic look.
Tom and I are
1980s
the
was
same
new
age
wave. It was a new wave look in Britain.
the flock of seagulls look.
Yeah, they were starting to move
When
into that.
Yeah, when I was in high school, the cheerleaders looked like Stacey Hamilton, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girl next door with the long hair, the pom poms, and the short skirt. When I was in the band. That's the one they missed. That's the one they missed a trick on. They could have taken a couple of band members and made a joke out of that they didn't do.
Well, that dude clearly isn't banned.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in high school by this time. I had left high school about 3 years before. So.
I was going to say, this is a little probably past your time, but not much.
Yeah, 79.
Well,
left high
I mean,
school.
by the time this book come out and the movie came out, like this would be right in your era. That's what I'm saying. Like it does kind of cover. I mean,
There's
they
the
modernized
Tattoo
it a
You
little
poster.
bit.
That's a great album. It's the Rolling Stones, Tattoo You.
Well, yeah, because this was 82 or 81 when this came out.
82.
82.
82. Okay, yeah. So
I mean, the kids who were seniors in this movie would have been a sophomore when I graduated from high school. So
Right.
it's still in the same era because they would have been younger students when I was graduating. And this is just 2 years later after I got out of high school. So yeah, this is still there were still the posters. When I was in high school, the poster every guy wanted to have on his wall was the tennis girl scratching her butt without any underwear on.
Not
under her
was that
white
Cheryl
skirt.
Teague or what's her name?
I don't
You
know
are
who that
what?
is. I've
part
actually looked
wimp and part pussy. Mike
Yeah.
Damone.
but I wasn't allowed to have posters like that on my walls, and I wasn't into cars, so I didn't have a Lamborghini Countach on the wall. So I didn't have
No.
posters.
No Lamborghini.
No Lamborghini.
Yeah, and see, this is basically the guy that what's his face, Tim Matheson's character would be now, right? Like
Yes.
in Animal House, like the equivalent. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm
Yep.
trying to think. In my locker, because there were the dudes had like photos. Like I had photos of Megadeth and Slayer on my locker. So
See, that's the thing we never had. We never had lockers in high school. You Americans had that.
We had them in junior high.
We had
and
to
high
carry
school.
our shit around.
We had them in
Yeah.
gym our whole up through late elementary, and then in junior high all the way through. We did, yeah.
I remember like when I was trying to fit in my lockers to miss certain classes, and I had to sit in my own locker for 40 minutes.
Lord.
I did pull it off a few times. Man, that was tough. That was very tough.
Our kids now, like, there's not enough lockers. Like, there's not enough lockers for every kid in school to have one, and like they keep expanding too. Like,
Hmm.
Like the high school is under construction right now. Like even still, like yeah.
It's yeah. I remember at the time, like that was our area at the time. That was almost 20 years ago. Was rapidly expanding then, and I remember they kept adding on and on and on and on to the schools. Oh, hey guys, want to go to the point? Want to go to the point? The point. I always thought that was such a great name. The point.
Amy Heckerling, that's the name of the
Amy
director. I forgot
Heckerling's
her.
the director.
And the reason that this movie works so well is she is almost like a female version of Crowe in a way. And not only that, I think she was smart enough not to shoot scenes like this in a way that would make them romantic or anything like that. Because I think a guy would make that choice and fuck it up, right? I think this is where it's important to have a female director. And I know we talk about that shit all the time here, but I think that's part of the key to this film's being so sincere, even though that's not the word I'm looking for.
Genuine,
authentic. Maybe authentic. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Richard.
There you go. Richard.
The authenticity of this movie and how real it feels. Because like this is a perfect example of that, right? Like this is one of the most unromantic. You almost feel sorry for her afterwards, even though she's beaming and all this shit. You still like, you're like, bitch, he just used you.
I felt sorry. Yeah. I have to say, I felt sorry for her after that. I was
you
like,
do
when they pull back, when you see the graffiti in there, and then it pulls back, and they're just on it's just a wall at the athletic field. I'm like,
It's like it's just a dugout.
Man, you got taken for a ride, girl. Holy cow!
This was Amy Amy Heckerling's first ever movie. I think she directed, first or second. I think it was her first. I'm actually leaning on first.
Did she do the documentary before or after this? I was trying to remember because then she got Wayne's World, I think, off of. Or no, that was Penelope Spears.
That was a different director for Wayne's World.
That's a different one.
Yeah, but this was not only her debut, and also this is before Phoebe Cates and Judge Reinhold. They did this movie, and then they both.
Oh yeah, she went on to do Look Who's Talking,
a few years later. And I remember that one scene at the dinner room, I think it was, in Gremlins, where they ran into each other. I was like, oh hey, look, it's the Gremlins fair. Could you have these flowers?
That's a nice magic trick she did there. No flowers 1 minute, flowers the next minute.
Oh God, yeah, right. How Judge Reinhold responds by giving it to his girlfriend at All American Burgers.
He's gonna let a dozen roses go to waste? Are you kidding me? He's not stupid. He's a resourceful young man.
Where'd you get those? How much you pay for your flowers? Don't worry about it. Oh man.
He was Judge Reinhold's character is awfully proud of that old Buick of his. And I can honestly say where I went to high school in New Jersey, anybody who showed up driving to school in that thing would find 4 flat tires on it when they went to drive home.
I gotta give it to his character though of Brad, because Brad is this guy who's really young and he honestly isn't all that accomplished in his life at this point, but yet he's so proud of what he has. He makes it feel like he's this guy who's lived all this like life experience, though he's just a guy who's still barely getting out of high school. He's
basically like Ron Howard in American Graffiti.
He already seems too old for high school.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like he's a lot like Ron Howard in American Graffiti. He seems like he's got his shit all figured out until about 2/3 of the way through the movie, and then he realizes I ain't got a goddamn thing figured out. And it's the same thing here with Judge, and he's a great character too because he reminds me so much of my cousin Brian, right? Like like I said, these guys, right? And his character I think is the most interesting as far as how they got cast. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but he actually was one of Amy Heckerling's friend's boyfriend. Who lived in the same apartment building. He kept dropping hints that he would love to be in the film because he hadn't, really done anything to really break out. He'd done a couple things, but nothing to really break out. But she just couldn't see him as Brad because she, to her, he was her friend's boyfriend, right? Like this 20-something-year-old guy. She just couldn't see him as a high school Brad type. But
maybe that's
I can't remember
why they were laying on Tom Hanks so much at the time, because he does at that time Tom Hanks did look a lot younger than
I'm surprised they didn't go with Tom Hanks, to be honest with you.
Too. I'm very surprised. Granted, he
Was this before Bachelor Party then, or
I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
this would be like 2 or 3 years before.
Yeah, right before. And Tom Hanks, maybe he would have blown up a little sooner with a movie like this. And this movie kind of had a lot of these guys being in really small roles. And
Well, Judge launched from this for a while. I mean, he kind of hit. I don't know where he hit his roadblock or what for, but from here on, he was in nonstop. And in some cases, you get to 84, and I think he's in 3 movies.
yeah,
right?
he just kind of tailed off at one point
Yeah.
for some reason after being in a lot of big stuff.
Oh, that's Hollywood. And you
guess
blow
so.
up, you
blow the wrong person, you live to regret it. Yes.
I think somewhere between Vice Versa and Beverly Hills Cop 3 is kind of where
Vice versa, I forgot.
things kind of dubbed off, tailed off for him.
Beverly Hills Cop.
He was,
yes.
He was. No, because I never saw it. I was wondering if
But he doesn't look like himself. He looks more like the wrestler guy, the guy that played in The Wrestler. Mickey Rourke.
Mickey
All the
Rourke.
plastic surgery. He looks more like Mickey Rourke.
Wow.
To me, anyway.
That's radical to look like Mickey Rourke after all time. God damn, dude.
And he's only in it for about 5 minutes.
So here's Nick cooking. This is what it's like in Nick's place when he's cooking.
Dude, actually, this was me working at my job.
Nick making that pizza.
Actually,
Stone
that was
fired.
my first job. I made pizzas. You want to know something funny about it? I sucked. I absolutely sucked.
Yeah. Flame grilled doesn't mean this shouldn't be flame grilled, Nick. That's not what it means.
I was so bad at my job that I got fired for how bad I sucked at making pizzas. I worked at a place called Nancy's Pizza, which actually was good pizza, by the way. I lasted about, I think, 3 or 4 months there. 3 or 4 months. And I remember I was the worst at making pizzas. And I messed up on the pizzas the most, especially when people really wanted weird ingredients. I was just like, ugh, I felt like I was going to vomit while making.
Hope you had a nice piss, Arnold.
So the Mr. Hand here, Mr. Handy, is this a reasonable? Did anybody have a teacher like this?
I did not.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not this much of a dick. I mean, I did have dickish teachers, but I never ended up getting along with them, probably most likely. But he kind of reminds me of my math teacher in a way, only not my math teacher wasn't this big of a dick. Just kind of the way he carries himself.
Just a little dick, though.
Nah, not really.
Oh, I did.
I had to.
Oh yeah, red shirt.
Is this
my physics teacher used to had what he called his "You've been bad" stick. It was a boxing glove taped with shipping tape to a yardstick. And if somebody was copying off of somebody else, he didn't grab their head and straighten it out, look at their own paper. He just walked up behind him and wound up with that boxing glove on a yardstick and whacked him in the back of the head.
I had more female teachers like him than male teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did if Mr. Hand is at home and he's getting it on with the missus, is he Randy Handy or Handy Randy?
Mr. Handy.
Where's Randy Handy?
No, Mr. Hand's wife called him.
To the room, honey, I'm feeling pretty randy tonight.
I would bet that Mr. Hand's wife called him the octopus.
See, the thing is, most schools, if you had a teacher like Mr. Hand, he'd be like, "My name is Mr. Hond," because he would want people to be fucking with his name constantly. Yeah.
I had teachers who who were good at throwing comebacks at kids who would try to dish out, but nothing to the extent that this guy did. Now, obviously, I went to school. No, I graduated in 2006 from high school. I have a few teachers who once in a while would dish out some wise responses, but I feel like Handy he gave frickin' Spicoli the true Handy Randy, with the insults he was dishing out with the I don't know, the pizza, ripping up his attendance card. He just was he's awesome. This actor who plays his Mr. Hand is awesome. I actually think he's one of the best performances of this movie.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Definitely one that sorry, Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ray Walston. I first encountered him in the 60s as My Favorite Martian.
Oh, that's right.
When he used to have antenna growing out of his head.
That's right. But he was in a bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
He was in Rad.
It's 20 years earlier than this, and when
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
him in this, I went, "Is that my favorite Martian? Oh my god!
Even
he's
after
grown
this,
up and
though,
become a high school teacher."
he was happy for this movie, Red Shirt. I don't know if you ever heard this before, but he got so sick and tired of people going, "Hey, Martian," when he would walk down the street.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
He
believe it.
finally goes, "Thank God!" After this movie, it's Mr. Hand instead.
And better.
He also played himself in the movie The Player. He played himself.
Yeah. He's also Popeye's dad at this point too. Yeah.
And I think he was in
Yes.
some Star Treks as well. I can't really remember. I'm sure he was in some Star Treks.
No, he was a classic television character actor who made the transition. I don't know if this is the first movie he did, but
Oh, I don't know. I
this
think
was
he'd been in-
this was a wonderful role for him, and he absolutely grabbed it and ran with
No,
it.
but he was basically the veteran actor of this cast,
Oh,
right? Like, I mean,
yes.
everybody else was newcomers for the most
I
part.
hate to say
Yeah.
it that the character he played in Popeye is called Poop Dick Pappy.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because the only other real like older people you have in the cast, because that's the other thing is you never see any of the parents.
Yeah.
You
No.
never, ever,
I think you
ever,
saw
ever.
Stacy's
ever-
mom right when she kissed her goodnight. And then
Maybe that's
Maybe
it, but like
that was
otherwise
it.
they play zero role in this entire thing. But like
Yeah.
outside of like Vincent Scavelli, who plays I think the science or the biology teacher,
Biology
and Taylor
teacher, yeah.
Taylor Negron, who plays the pizza guy. Like everybody else in this cast is pretty much a newcomer. Like, yeah, they'd been in a couple of things, but nothing of real, like, there was no like movie stars among them, right?
Oh,
Wouldn't
no.
this be like the transition to more latchkey kids type? Where like they're coming into the 80s where both parents had to work.
Same thing was in the 70s era. Like, yeah, it was like, a lot of kids, same kind of deal. Yeah, I think that may have been I don't honestly know. I've never heard why Cameron kind of kept the parents out of the whole story to begin
Might have been
with. but-
budgeting too.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with that other than I just think he wanted it to be from the kid's point of view, perhaps. And
See,
I mean,
now here's the major difference between a Californian high school and a Scottish high school. If anyone in Scotland had gone to school looking like that, they would have had the shit kicked out of them. Like, here he's looking cool, and everyone's like, "Oh wow!" And then they would have been, "What is that freaking idiot doing?" And they would have got killed.
Or get
I was
froze
like-
to death. I mean,
I was
Or
like in the
froze to
earlier
death.
bit when Judge is
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
"Hey, you guys had shirts on when you came in here. Where'd they go?" Oh no!
Yes.
Oh man.
Uh,
Miss
I don't.
no.
Eric,
No.
Eric Stoltz almost played Spicoli as well. That was who Amy really wanted to play.
Also, Matthew Broderick almost was the part, which
Yeah.
it worked out that Broderick didn't get the part because not only did he go on to do Ferris Bueller, but once again, had Sean Penn had not done this, I don't know where his career had gone because, as I mentioned earlier, this is the thing that he has always been kind of like measured against.
It's hard
like, for the
not
rest
to
of his
see.
career.
It's hard not to see anyone but Sean Penn now. in
He
this.
really is. I don't get me wrong. I don't think Matthew Broderick would have been bad in the part. I don't think so. But it
He's just
really
not hippie enough. He's not hippie enough.
no, it worked out for Penn.
he's-
He was the one. He was
And
absolutely
he's
the
not
one.
blonde. He's
Go
not
ahead.
blonde enough to be a Southern California surfer dude.
True.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
nailed the Southern California thing. And Penn, as crazy as the man is, he's committed to his craft. And one of his things that he did when he was getting into the mode of this character of Spicoli, he not only did he only want to be addressed by Spicoli on set, playing the character, he would straight up ignore anyone who would refer to him on set as Sean Penn. So I was
The
like,
method, yes. the
yeah,
method.
that's committed method acting. I mean, I know some people find it to be method acting to be a big extreme. To me, you do what works best to keep you in character for your character, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. Unless you're Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, you need to get the fuck away from making movies.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know what I'm referencing to and what he did in that movie.
Yeah. Or Dustin Hoffman in Marathon Man.
Oh God, what did he do?
He actually slept homeless in New York for 2 nights before he had to do the torture scene with
Wow.
with Laurence Olivier. He
Oh
slept
yeah,
in
we've
his
talked
sweats.
about this before.
Yeah, I
No,
mentioned it.
what?
And when Olivier found out why he showed up covered in muck and dirt and stinking and everything, He said, what happened to you? He says, oh, I just slept on the streets for 2 nights to get ready for the scene. And Olivier had my favorite line any actor has ever asked another one. He said, have you ever tried acting, my dear boy?
That's right. Not personal. Just act.
Just act the part.
The pot.
Oh, yeah. Method actors can get pretty weird. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not sure how for some of you in the chat and on the panel, in case you don't know, Jared Leto on the 2016 Suicide Squad would send dead animals and I think used condoms to his co-stars because apparently he was acting crazy and insane. I'm like, that's just fucking stupid. Just stop.
It's
Honestly, and
no
I'm
need
not
for
even saying it just because it's Jared Leto. If any actor just did that, that's just flat out stupid. It just made it worse because Jared Leto already had it going against him with his stupid grills, with his stupid tattoos, playing emo Joker to Riddler, and then he had to add insult to injury with that. Just
It's like
an
the press
absolute-
kits that Slipknot would send out before they got signed.
Oh God. I have no idea what the press get. Well, what they send a whole host of like dead rats or something to Roadrunner.
No, they were sending out. So the press kits they would have, they would send. I want to say that they were crows.
What?
Like they would put a crow, like like press kit be like
Yeah.
headshots, demos and shit, and they would wrap it up in a box and put like a crow or some shit in it. And I'm remembering this from like 2004. So like, because I worked with their management company for a while, so I'm trying to remember what but they did this weird, big, huge thing, and we're wrapping this up and sending them out to all the record labels, so they would get it, so they would get the attention. Obviously, it worked. So,
all right, Frank Hammett, who's been a member for 6 months. Thank you, Frank. Frank's here. Ray Walston was the wise gardener and star. I think he means Star Trek TNG at the
TNG.
Academy. I did not know that, but then again, I still
I
had
think he
not
popped
watched
up in Voyager as well. But
Did he?
Maybe
you
just
guys
an
tell me,
episode or two.
You guys know about Trekkie than I do.
I can't remember all the details. So many of them. So many shows.
I still have yet to commit to the Trek. And then when I do, I'm probably going to start with the original series and then move on to TNG, which will happen sometime between now and forever, of course. I'll get there some year. But man, oh man, do we see our boy here, Mr. Mark Ratner, trying to get game. Lose the coat, man. Just you don't need it.
That's what I was thinking. Damone is kind of the Cameron Crowe here, sort of ish.
Damone is man. Now I know of many Damones. I never had any
Vic Damone.
Use myself with a Damone type, but I know many dudes who have dealt with a Damone. Like so I know of the type, but I've never had to be the Eskimo.
Marks out of 10, Nick. Marks out of 10.
That honestly looks like a 5.
As much as that.
I'd give that like a 6 or 7, maybe. I like me some thick crusted square pizza though, so
good, but it looks no better than what I would have had for lunch during high school. And I feel like I could have had a lot better, not only from my local pizzerias, which I have several great ones out here. They're the best, several of them, big time. And then there's even nowadays there's some really good frozen pizzas as well. And even now, there's even a select few franchise brands that I like as well. And I feel like all of them are way better than what I just saw there. And now that pizza right there at that moment in time, where my first ever pizza, yeah, I'd probably be over the moon about it. But as someone who's had a lot of good pizza, especially in the Midwest area, it's fine. I'd eat it for free.
That's what she said.
Unlike Blaze Pizza, we don't talk about Blaze at these parts of the world. Blaze should be illegal. Like every freaking, I almost said a political comment. I'm not doing it.
No.
So I caught myself.
Resist.
I'm glad. I'm actually proud that I did resist. But, hey, could you go? I never thought he was going to go from the missing jackets to the phone number. That was like That was the biggest sign of I don't think he's ever definitely made the moves on LA before. It had to have been his first.
That's a fair attempt, though.
I've seen worse attempts. I
Give him
definitely have seen worse
Top
attempts.
marks for effort.
But I also do know many dudes who definitely have had worse efforts too. Oh, I've definitely seen some dudes say some really dumb thing. I'm like,
like the graffiti.
oh yeah. So,
but it's weird because the H is written on Judge Reinhold's body.
So I was wondering what the top left word said. Was it gay big or you big?
Probably eat big hairy pussy.
Eat big.
But why is it written on Judge Reinhold? It looks like it.
It does. I see the HA. It does.
Must be the copy of the movie I've got.
No, it's his reflection in the mirror.
That's right. I'm just kidding.
I know.
I mean, it was the early '80s, late '70s. Weren't they all big and hairy?
This is the kind of, they say that food service workers, you must wash your hands after going to the washroom. This is where you shouldn't, because this washroom makes your hands dirtier if you wash them. This is worse than not washing them in this place.
Yeah. Boy. This looks like a Burger King bathroom.
Yeah. Back to the time where Burger King was, and that was at a time when they were more relevant. Nowadays, they closed down quite a bit of them in our state. There's still like select few, but man, they closed down a lot of them. And I thought about it because I'm like, what is their one thing that makes them be like, you can only get this is the best this at Burger King? What is the one thing? I haven't had it in a long time, but could you guys think of the thing that makes Burger King stand out nowadays? Because I can't.
Nowadays, no. I can tell you what's made them. They tried to use to stand out back in the day, but they don't have it anymore. I don't think. It was have it your way at Burger King. You could get it.
I remember.
You could change the order, and they'd make a custom burger for you. And
the
other one was they had flame broiled burgers. I worked at a Burger King. Full disclosure, folks, it was an electronic oven. The only fire in there was the burning grease from the burgers.
Also burgers for breakfast. They actually beat McDonald's to that first.
I wanted to point out Soul Assassin in the chat has a point when he says, I wonder if Judge Reinhold's character became a cop and moved to Beverly Hills after he stops the robbery and changes his name to Rosewood. Maybe it's the same guy. Maybe he's playing the same character. Yeah, you never know. What does it say behind you? It said 100% something teed breakfast.
Teed. 100% guaranteed.
Oh, guaranteed. Because
try our 100%
teed breakfast. I want the teed breakfast.
And dude, this guy, granted, he does have, it sounds like he does have a valid complaint, but what my takeaway from this, and that's because of, 42 years ago, is the fact that he paid $2.75 for breakfast. And I'm like, wow, $2.75.
Wouldn't get you the coffee now.
Refund.
Yeah, right? Get you a coffee.
That's half a cup of coffee nowadays.
It wouldn't get you the condiments. You wouldn't get the condiments for that.
No, somebody put a picture on Twitter recently of what you could buy at McDonald's for like $2.50 in the early '80s, and you could feed a family of 4 for $2.50.
I remember even 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago, when the McChicken was the new thing. 20 years ago, I would go every day. This is when I had my McDonald's streak for 66 straight days. I got at least a McChicken every day because they were $1. It was never hard to find $1. It's like, okay, well, I could scrap up $1 and get my McChicken every day. Because that's all I want was McChicken.
Indeed. Here's an early, little-known photograph of just another red shirt.
Nice American tie there, right?
Yeah.
And with a blonde mustache.
That's how I picture you back in the day, red shirt. This is you.
Back when I still had hair, yeah. And a nascent and an infant mustache.
It's kind of, I think this might be the first time we had a streak of balds on the side. It's like seriously, it's like a streak.
It's funny how Judge Reinhold is the employee of the month.
Yes. I'm getting fired right now.
His photo's literally on the wall where he's getting
Legendary.
fired.
Yeah.
And he blames it on the guy who needed a piss.
Mm-hmm.
That's his big thing. Was you use the bathroom? I was like, wow, dude. All you had to do is just give the man his refund. The only thing that guy maybe went over the line with, granted, he ultimately was right. And I'm not saying just because the customer is always right, but I'm saying because the only thing that he did wrong was eat as much food as he did. If he thought it was undercooked, he should have known within the first 3 or 4 bites.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. Other than that, if he wanted his money back and you put on the advertising guaranteed, well, right or not, you should have just given it to him. But whatever. We could go on back to our surfer man. And
now we get to some of the legendary scenes.
it looked with me and I didn't notice, but holy crap, Sean Penn's short.
He is.
Yes.
I'm short too. I'll admit that. Make no mistake. That's no secret. Anyone who's met me in person, I know. Obviously Justin and Tom and Richard all have, and some people in the chat. I'm short, but man, I think I might be taller than he is. I didn't think that. I thought honestly he'd be taller than me. So
have you seen him recently? He hasn't aged well.
He just looks like
pretty rough.
He still has a full head of hair.
Yeah, but he looks pretty rough.
Being a lefty will do that to you.
That's true. That's true. It's eating him from the inside. No, I think he smokes a lot, so he looks like a guy who's smoked all his life.
Is he though? Okay, I'm gonna clear up the rumor about this.
Well, he's such a method actor. Didn't he go retarded for I Am Sam and has never been able to come back? He's never
got it back again.
Yeah, he's just always been like that since then.
He's never got it back yet. He's 5'9". IMDb.
Fix the country.
IMDb says he's 5'9", but I find that hard to believe.
I don't buy it.
How tall are those women?
Well,
those women are
tall enough.
Those women are at least 6 feet tall.
They're
if he's
tall
5'9".
enough.
Yeah, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But man, he just seems like he's like a midget compared to them. So whatever. But
Nick, they're all the same height lying down, Nick. Come on.
Comics and culture are the same height. And trust me when I say I have been around them both. I've hung out with them both quite a few handful of times each individually. I've shared a few hotel rooms with comics. I shared a content house with culture. I've done every meetup I've done outside Milwaukee. I've been around comics and culture, if not both. They are the same height. They are the same height.
5'3", yeah.
So
I've stood next to them both, and they are the same height. It's true. Height.
He's not
even with them both wearing high heels, they're still the same height.
Yep.
He's not taller. They're just the same height. So whatever. I've been in a car. I've been in a car with culture. I'm so sorry. I remember. You know when you say I remember when Sud tried. Whoa! Look at that lazy eye. Is that like White Man Whitaker right there?
White Man Whitaker. Why people Whitaker?
Horny, yeah. I mourn for you. I'm really sorry. I remember being at the Comics Dallas house when that happened with all the Yangling. We all hated culture that night for that. We all wanted to kill him. We all did.
What's the album covers on the wall at the back?
I don't know, but I see a place that says Licorice Pizza.
So this is a record store.
I guess that's still a thing. Somebody said in the chat that it's still
it's still real.
Do they serve licorice and pizza? Like as a
no, I think it's a record store. It said it records, tapes, VHS or something. Well, there's Debbie Harry.
There's Debbie Harry.
So okay, if it's a record store, why don't they have pizza there though?
Well, I guess
they're trying to coconut.
Nick, this is the 1980s. It was still recovering from the 1970s. Don't ask questions.
It's a black vinyl record looks like a licorice pizza. That's I think that's what they're trying to get at.
But you gotta have pizza. Hit a pizzeria. Oh.
Yeah, way to confuse Nick.
Yep.
Nick
Nick
just
would
want
not
a
have survived
pizza.
the 1980s.
I just want a pizza.
Yeah, maybe I would have. I just don't know if I'd be happy.
You'd be
with
a lot. I'll tell you what, Nick. You'd be a lot more twisted than you are now if you had.
I probably would be. That's probably true. Yeah, that is most definitely, most likely, probably true. Brian just broke Nick's brain. He has a habit sometimes, but between him and Backdoor Gerry, they both look. Dude, look how tiny Mark looks in that chair. He looks like a midget in that chair. Like it's like Vern. It's like Vern Troyer.
I just couldn't sit in that.
He's like, huh?
The place is so dark as well. It's that red. Oh my god! There you go. There's now. See, this is the star of the movie right here.
Yo,
never mind Phoebe Cates. Now we're talking.
Yeah, you're on your first real date, and this is your worst nightmare right here.
She's your stormtrooper right there.
Waitress, and you left your wallet behind. Have you dudes left the wallet behind at a first date? I've actually luckily I've never forgotten a wallet at a date. Never have done that, thankfully.
The hell is that chair? Is he either he's even shorter than we think, or that chair is even bigger?
I'd say the answer is yes. Both.
Oh, that's funny. That place would give you a headache. I mean, honestly,
it looks like the indoor dining session of a Pizza Hut, except with candles, because they were never that fancy.
It's funny because it looks like an Italian place, but she's very much Austrian looking.
Yeah, interesting.
She's just about to invade Poland now, so she's taking that order.
I was gonna say she's the world's ugliest St. Pauli girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, you wouldn't pay for that one in the Reaper band, would you? Well, you maybe would.
No.
Nice Elvis Costello poster in the background.
Yes.
Bavarian. Yes.
Yes, Bavarian.
Very Bavarian.
Good Bavarian broad first. A good one. I love, man.
Schnatzengruber. Living's my limit.
Yeah, man, them Schnitzelgrubers can really wipe you out.
Living is my limit.
You out.
Oh, is this the same place? Because they're serving Chinese.
Dude, right? What play? Like you got to figure out.
It's a real weird mixture
between the waitress, the food we're seeing on the table, the way the restaurant is laid out. I don't know what is this supposed to be like a buffet type of place?
It's Italian, Bavarian, Chinese.
Italian, Bavarian.
I mean, I don't see a problem with it. It all looks delicious, right?
It looks great. Yeah.
I swear to God, they put him on a stool, not a chair. He's got a footstool he's sitting on.
I think Davina's right. It's a Christmas brothel.
What? Well, yeah. This scene at this point in time did take place around Christmas because obviously when Stacy and Linda were working at their job, like, oh, we hate working around this time.
If there's ever going to be a Toxic Tuesday panel retreat, it would have to be a brothel at Christmas.
Ooh,
in Bavaria.
I mean, Nick's channel's got to get a lot bigger if he's paying for us all to go to Bavaria.
Oh yeah.
And for me to have a place to live if we're going to a brothel.
Still, it got them in the mood.
You can sleep in the rental, Dan.
Now, what was your guys' reaction when he used the sister's car excuse to get out? Well, was that something that he was a laughing stock of for a while when you guys were coming up, or was that just like, he just being a guy? Or did you guys all have a crazy sister that you're afraid of? What was that like for you guys at this time to see him do it the way he did?
I was certainly afraid of my sister, but she would never have loaned me her car. So that's.
Would you feel like if she did loan you your car, you feel like would you have left the situation, or would you like, screw it, I'm gonna do it?
Shit, my mom would have drove me.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
Justin.
You're gonna do it. It doesn't matter the consequences.
Oh yeah, but except he did it. You guys, because you're all toxic men on this panel.
My mom would have been waiting outside for me to get it done. She'd be like, "Come on."
Outside, she would have been listening at the door.
That happened.
That's
before.
enough.
All right.
Stop right there.
It's
I
been
wanna
2
know that.
hours. I've waited long enough. Dustin.
She's
At
like,
least
tag me in.
At least they didn't have phones in those days. They didn't have cell phones.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
No checking in or getting called.
You know what? The cell phones would have changed the entire dynamics of these scenes
It would
before it's
have.
filmed. Because think about it, from the awkward getting to know each other in the car, also with the awkward meeting each other at the restaurant, and then the whole being at the restaurant, like getting the wall and all the dynamics would have been just revolving around. Okay, I don't know what to say, so I'm just gonna be on my phone until I figure out how to talk to her. Yeah, that would have definitely. Yeah, cell phone would definitely ruin a scene like this. That's for
Changes
sure.
the whole thing dynamic of all of this.
Yes.
If you imagine cell phones being in it all.
They would have just been texting each other.
Yeah.
They would have been communicating with memes.
Sitting at school, they would have been looking at their phones the whole time, watching videos.
And Mr. Hand would have had a bucket in his room where you had to put your cell phone when you came in.
Oh yeah, he would have. He definitely. Yeah, I could see that. Mr. Hand, he probably would have to be more restrained to appeal to modern sensibilities.
So now I'm thinking about it. We've had our various shows on our channels about best Christmas movies. I forgot about this one. This is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, see, I disagree on that. It's a
No,
moment. It's a moment.
Christmas movie.
It's a moment. It's a moment. It doesn't mean that it's a Christmas movie. At least Iron Man 3, for all the flaws it has, and it's got a lot of them, the movie revolves
It's
around
like Invasion
that
USA. It's a Christmas movie.
Oh God, Invasion USA.
So this is going to get in the Christmas movie list for future use. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, to
and
talk to
this
each
is
other.
this is what you didn't want your girlfriend to invite you over to her house when she was doing a facial like this, because she looked like something out of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
So you've never
All
given your
because she couldn't
girlfriend a
get
facial.
Yeah, her parents wouldn't pay for her to get a proper facial, so she had to go to Spencer Gifts and buy this food.
Careful now.
Yeah.
You've never given your girlfriend a facial. Okay.
You know,
No, actually, no, not in high school. No.
no, I had a roommate many years ago, and I woke up one morning and I heard a conversation, and I heard the first words I heard when I woke up was, "Yeah, she's coming in here for a facial." I said, like, what is
It's a
going
very
on?
liberated household. Yes.
I was like, what? Who said that?
Isn't there a line here? Like, you should, people on lewds shouldn't drive. That's it. People on lewds shouldn't drive.
Oh, dude. How about the quote here said by the kid? Like, God, well, I'm trying to think. He said something really ill. He's like, I like sex.
This is the other difference between high school in California and high school in Scotland. We didn't have cars. We couldn't afford cars at high school. It's just
How many goats did you
everyone's
have?
got a car. How many what?
How many goats did you have, or sheep?
Well, we all had a flock, of course. But you can't ride that to school. It's not comfortable enough.
Riding a sheep to school sounds pretty gay.
Yeah.
Hell, my
not
father
many-
had a car dealership, and I still didn't have a car until I was 18. Oh, I didn't work hard enough to get one, apparently. I was to work harder.
I mean, how many cars are in Scotland? Like 9?
I'd say there was at least twice that.
Oh, okay. That's not
So about 30 cars. 30 cars in all of Scotland.
math. I mean, Nick can't math.
There was a time when I was a kid that I knew all of them. There were so few.
And no, I can't math. I'm retarded. What do you expect?
You're like, twice that. You're like,
I think
30.
slivers of intelligence.
Soul Assassin's right. I had a goat-powered chariot. That's what used to kill the Romans with.
To answer your question, I gotta rewatch American Graffiti just so where I stand on that. But
This
either
is
way,
funnier.
this is
This
one of
one's
my
funnier.
absolute favorite lines. He's gonna kill us. He's gonna kill us. He's gonna shit.
I didn't realize this was in the South.
Which one is it? He's gonna
Right.
shit, and then he's gonna kill us. And then it turned into, I gotta give it to Spicoli. This is the smartest way out. I gotta get, I would have never thought of this in my. Look at, stop right there. Hennessy bottle right in the locker. I remember when we were doing, I can't remember, what was the last time we did like a college or high school movie? And we guys were talking about things we brought with to school, like just careless. I think you guys said one of you guys, like, you brought your gun to school, just whatever. Kids brought Hennessy. Look at it standing right there, blatantly out in the obvious. Like,
just at the bottom.
I'm assuming the legal age at the time was 21 in 1982. Is that correct?
Could have been 18.
It was 18.
It was 18. When did it become 21?
When the federal government said we'll take away your highway funds unless you raise the drinking age to 21.
What year was that?
That was well, it was right around the early 80s. So this might have been 84.
84.
Yeah, because I was grandfathered at 19 until 84. Well, until I turned 21 at 84. But in 84, everybody had to switch to 21. But I turned 21 in 84, so I didn't care. So that sounds exactly right. But yeah, I'd say in a lot of places it was 18. So yeah, seniors could have a bottle of beer, can of beer or a bottle of liquor in their locker, and it wasn't illegal for them to possess or purchase. It was only maybe a school infraction to have liquor on campus.
What is Forrest Whitaker wearing?
I thought the same thing.
I mean, yeah. I'm not trying to stand out or anything in the crowd.
He's wearing a tracksuit and 2 cats that are refugees from Springfield, Ohio.
Okay, I get it. He's an athlete. He's probably one of the star players.
Athlete.
But man, the outfit and that whole scene, that whole crowd. I mean, usually I saw old athletic guys. Usually they wear the jacket.
It looks like it's made of 100% rayon.
Yeah. Yes.
And Spicoli's face was perfect. He's like, "Yeah, man, we got out of it. See, it worked out." Oh.
This is where his lazy eye kicked in.
Now it kicked in throughout the movie. Because if you
where he's
remember
like, my dad is totally a TV repairman. He's got all sorts of tools and stuff, man. We can totally fix it.
You can't fix this. And he stands up and looks at the front of the car and goes, "Did you say we can't fix this?"
This is how you know he's a big guy.
Yeah.
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 He is a big guy.
Even though you saw his eye get lazier throughout the movie, because his eye looked a bit more intact at the beginning, but as it gets lazier, he does get crazier. So it's almost like the lazier his eye gets, the more he hulks out in a way. It's kind of impressive. Imagine that. Lazier eye makes you hulk out. That should make sense, but
it's the roids that happen
here. The roids.
It's the
roids.
It
was the lazy eye 70s. That was what brought out his inner rage. Come on.
Well, personally, I think it was the car, but that's just me.
Well, I'm having fun with going with the lazy eye because I remember when I had a Facebook many moons ago, I had several hundred members for a Facebook. I didn't do many Facebook groups, but one of the few ones that I did do was one on Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye. Of course, when I nuked my Facebook, my page, Forrest Whitaker's Lazy Eye, came with it. So it's a great page.
We mustn't forget that Forrest Whitaker was in Mad Martigan's favorite movie, The Crying Game.
I've still never seen that movie.
What? Okay.
If you go, you're sure of a big surprise.
Spoilers, gosh.
Which character describes? I see Soul Assassin asks question. Which character best describes how you were in high school? Ooh, man, that's hard for me.
Hey, nobody in there wearing Jinkos.
Phoebe Cates. Oh shit! Give that one away. Shit. Oh.
I'm trying to think. What if I had to pick a close? Let me.
I'd be one of these guys.
See, the thing is, I wasn't much like Jeff Spicoli. I really wasn't. I mean, yeah, I had long hair, but I wasn't a surfer. I wasn't a guy who, went for the green a lot. It was more like a seldom thing. I think I even stayed away from it for a bit of time as well. I guess I'm only gonna have to say probably Mark, only because I didn't really talk to girls much in high school. Like, I really did. Like, it got to a point where a lot of people thought I was gay because they always saw me around dudes. And that's also, it was like, if Nick was talking to a girl, it had to be an interest, just because I was 99% of the time around dudes.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say you're not gay? Oh, you've just totally shattered my illusion.
All right, I'm out of here, guys.
Oh, this. You've ruined the whole thing for me.
The mystique has been ruined. All your guys' life was a lie.
Then button your shirt up.
All 144 past episodes of Toxic Tuesday was a lie. I'm coming out of the closet to let you know that I am straight.
Oh, you've ruined the whole thing.
That's probably
for
a
me.
thing these days.
Ruined it.
Yeah, that is the equivalent of coming out of the closet nowadays.
Now we're getting to the point.
At the point.
Actually, both points.
Yes.
It is hard for me as a 45-year-old adult. It's hard for me to look at like
I know.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, knowing that she's 14 and 14 in the movie, right? It's so like it's, and I know she's 20 in real life, but it's just one of those like dad grandpa things. You know what I mean? Like, it just, yeah.
It's weird. Yes, I get it. It hits differently. It definitely does hit.
She's beautiful, but it's just like hard to go, oh, you know what I mean? And I know, like, because when this came out, I was like 3, but
yeah, I hear you. That the stuff does hit way differently.
Fuck that. She's 10 years older than me. I can say whatever the hell I want.
Then goes Tom.
Tom, it's 1878. You'll be able to sue her.
Exactly.
So
this thing's defective.
Asked what happened to Phoebe Cates. Tom, do you know?
She got older.
She walked away from Hollywood. She got married, and they've been trying to get her to do things for a while. I think she pops in here and there to do things for like friends once in a while, but nothing of real note.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything for years.
I think she's just more worried about being a mom and a wife.
Yeah.
We know what Jennifer Jason Leigh's been up to.
Well, she was in Hateful Eight a few years ago. We did do Toxic Tuesday on that. We did, and man, you want to talk about a movie where she took quite a beating? She went from this to that. Like, what a translation from Fast Times all the way into freaking Hateful Eight. Like, that is a hell of a transition.
Yeah, especially if you watch them back to back.
Yeah, that was only 2 Toxic Tuesday episodes ago? I think it was. Yeah, 2 episodes ago. That's crazy, man. Her getting decked in the face by Kurt Russell is still fresh in my mind. Seriously. That was a few hits, too. That wasn't just like one like accidental hit. That was a very direct, you better like.
Let's work out a code. When I hit you in the face real hard, that means shut the fuck up.
Oh boy,
that's some outfit.
Well, I'll answer the question from the chat. I don't remember who asked.
Go ahead.
The character that best describes me in high school would be a cross between Mark Ratner and Judge Reinhold's Brad.
Oh wow. I'm probably most like Spicoli and a little bit like what's his face? Oh shit, I just forgot his name. Guy who sells tickets.
The scalper.
Oh, Mike.
Mike,
Mike
Damone.
Mike Damone.
Yeah,
Damone,
somewhere between there.
I would like to have been Mike Damone.
I mean, I wasn't that cool, but I was always a smart ass, and I mean, I could kind of snake my way through different groups real easily. and I was always the guy hustling and making money and DJing and doing all that shit pretty early on. So like a lot of that I feel, but then, and then I got to be a stoner a bit too later on in high school. So I could kind of, relate to Spicoli, especially when it got up to graduation time and it was like, oh shit, I might not graduate if I don't get my shit together, So, yeah.
What about you, Dustin? Who was a character you feel like was like that was you?
Is it Mike or whatever the guy that she went on a date with and they're at the Bavarian place? That guy probably just
Mike
me.
Damone.
No, not Mike Damone. He showed up to save the day
Mark.
with the wallet.
Mark Ratner. Mark Ratner.
Yeah, Rat. Yeah, I think I was just like, I wasn't the social butterfly that I am now.
The social butterfly.
You're a social butterfly? I hate
mean,
to see the flowers you land on.
Oh my God, I'm so confused.
Living in stereo.
Life is good. Moving in stereo.
It's going to get worse. Hang on. So I definitely see myself as Forrest Whitaker.
Would you like to see some really hot photos of me?
No.
Well, there's nothing wrong with men being aroused by other men. Don't be ashamed of your feelings.
No, I'm not.
Go on, 70s. Go on.
I was going to say, I see myself as I was Forrest Whitaker, really. Or thereabouts. No, I probably would have been closer to Rat, I think. Although I would like to have been Mike Damone. I was probably closer to Rat.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, granted, I had a lot of major differences. Mark, I guess you could say as far as like personal interests, but
now, of course, this scene is most famous for being well known for being the most paused scene in VHS history, to the point where rental stores would get pissy because their copies would always track badly. Yeah. Because they're wore out. This is an actual fact.
Yeah, I believe it.
You worked at rental stores. Did you ever hear any stories about it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. And not only that, like I said, the cast and crew brought it up in the making of it. I think it's written up somewhere. So yeah, no, it's pretty well known. Because a few other facts is like the most stolen videotape from video stores you wouldn't believe. Is Clerks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was that because
at least it
wasn't
was
worth
back in the day?
Rent?
I don't know if people just didn't want to return it or it was just what it was, but like, yeah.
I remember renting that movie and thinking my friend's VCR was broken. Because it's black and white, and I'm like, what's this shit?
I'll tell you what, man.
Did anybody fucking knock anymore?
It could have been just that it was so difficult to come by on videotape.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Clerks was
very clever.
Difficult to come by.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Oh my God, the cock.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
He's so cocky.
Oh, damn. Oh, it was way too good. By the way, chat, our 18 minutes in here, we've maintained our audience almost being here almost the entire time. Thank you. That's freaking awesome. Once again, I know there's a show going on. We'll just call it that, a show, another one. And the fact that you choose
What's your problem, bud?
So thank you. Oh, God, yes. My favorite scene with Mr. Hand. The one time Spicoli's on time for class, and it still turns around and backfires on it. It's my favorite one because it involves pizza. He thought it was being cool, ordering a pizza, and no.
I love this dude.
I have to say, even if I could find a pizza parlor in my town that would have delivered a pizza to my classroom in high school, I would never have had the balls to order a pizza in the middle of a class. I don't care what teacher it was.
I'm trying to think. If
I just look at this and I'm just in awe of this. And right up until the moment where Mr. Hand turns the tables on him.
And he went for a slice too, as he should.
Yes,
he should. That's the best part about it.
I was wrong about the kid cast. There is one member of the kid cast who is kind of a prolific actress at this point.
Oh, go on.
Amanda Weiss, who's right behind him right there.
All right.
Yeah, I think she'd already been in Carrie and a couple other things by this point, I think. Or what? Trying to think. What was she in before that?
I do not know.
Trying to remember. Because she did Nightmare on Elm Street and a bunch of other shit after this, but she was already pretty well established, I think, at that point, if I'm not mistaken. She did Better Off Dead after this. Unless this was one of her first big movies. I don't know. Let me look. I thought she'd done stuff before this, though, but I could be wrong.
Well, I do know that I want pizza now. I
know, right?
This was her first movie.
Oh, was it? Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, everything else was TV.
Okay, for some reason I thought she was in. I don't know why I thought she was in Carrie.
No, she's not.
Okay,
she wasn't in Carrie.
That one looks like it's probably about a 6 out of 10. It looks like it might be a little bit on the floppy side, which is something Dave Portnoy would say. But luckily, the crust looks really big and thick. So at least there's some thick crust.
It looks pretty good.
So yeah, I'd say around 6 out of 10. It looks better than like drunk. It looks like if drunk.
He's full of shit though. I don't see no sausage on that bitch.
No, there's not.
I mean, it looks really good for like pizza in a history class.
Yeah, it does.
You just made it sound ancient.
Yeah, there is a little bit of droop in the crust.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you can have some droop, but when it just droops from beginning to the rear, it makes you think, oh.
Well, that's when you're afraid of it landing on your shoes.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. And this is where Mike Damone he becomes that guy. We all know that guy where you may be into the lady and yet the friend is trying to make the move. Luckily, I've never been affected by the situation, but sadly, when I lived in the scene, this seemed like a sport to do. When I lived in Chirac, this seemed like a sport. It was absolutely insane. I'm like, wow, you dudes just all have the same girlfriends. It's kind of boring. I can't live like that. That just I just feel uneasy like that. It's like I'm like, you guys can stick to the scene. I don't go for.
So you have scruples then? What you're telling me,
dude? They're just all recycling each other. They are all recycling. It reminded me of high school when all the prep guys and prep girls were doing the same thing too. Except it was happening in Chicago. I was just like, wow, something's never changed. Even if you go to a big city, you just see it on a grander scale. It just makes what happened when you were 18, 17 seem watered down. Just because the circle is a lot bigger in every sense of the word. Oh God. Mike Damone, he gets a rude awakening and then some, and it is absolutely freaking funny after he lets out the load and he just has to run off really quick. I was like, wow. He went from the guy who was the big game talker to now he's kind of a bitch.
I mean, realistically, at that age, you could have did that, waited 5 to 10 minutes, and did it again.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. You're absolutely right. You could have. He absolutely could have, but man, he definitely straight up like was like, oh, crud. You're like, homie, if you're patient, you're just patient, a little bit patient, you'll be fine. But nope. No.
Not like she knew better.
Oh yeah, and she said to her, and she seemed just a bit desensitized, like, well, I'm getting life experience out of it. that was all because she went from Richard Gere. We'll just call him Richard Gere because I remember Ron Johnson is his name. But we'll call him Richard Gere. Richard Gere to Mark, but not having Mark, and now to Mike Damone because she wanted to feel rebellious because Mark was not making any moves because he's not used to being that guy. He's used to learning how to do the moves from Mike. So she's kind of just going for whatever's going to come her way. Literally.
Well, you're forgetting also the peer pressure that Phoebe's character kept putting her under too.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, Phoebe was like, just do it. Come on. Hey, if I was single too, I'll be all over because she has a boyfriend in Chicago that I don't think we see at all in this movie. We hear about him.
No, he breaks up with her.
Oh,
yeah.
Or he stands her up or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she reminds me of all the guys I knew in high school who lied about their girlfriends, because she can't remember how long it took him. And oh yeah, that's right. I did say that. It takes that long. And it's
that's a big salami she's handling right now.
Well, it's like with Brad in the beginning of the movie where he's like, "Oh yeah, my girlfriend's really good in bed," and then you find out that they've never hooked up.
Right. Oh. Yeah. That was the thing with this. What's also sad about the whole thing with Jennifer Jason Leigh and her little fling in the pool with him in the pool changing room is that most of their friends are bullshitting them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
About their sex lives. And they actually go, each of them goes and tries to do it. And it turns out to be a disaster for them. And it's like, yeah, your friends don't have problems like this because they're just lying to you about it.
No, and I think you're 100% right. I think they're all actually virgins until, like, even Mike, because he's like, I think I came. It's like, you think you did? Like, exactly. You should know, motherfucker.
It's like, wait a minute. Haven't you ever gotten a little of your mom's hand lotion, dude? Come on. Give me a break. You're in high school.
Well, Linda, Stacy's quick conversation before they're doing the care thing kind of really sums up the gossip around this whole movie. It's when Linda said, "Did you hear about the surfer guy pulling a knife on Mr. Hand?" And Stacy's like, "No, he just called him, I think, a dick." And she's like, "Wow, people just exaggerate all the time."
Yes,
and that pretty much kind of sums up. And now I think it's safe to say we all relate to that scene in the sense that people exaggerated everything in high school just to make it seem like they're part of something impactful. Like, did you see that? I can't believe you guys missed that time. People like to use the fear of missing out even for things that really didn't matter. Granted, there was always that moment that was actual FOMO, but there was a lot of it was definitely exaggerated too. That's for sure.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, high school, my high school, there were very few stories that I believed at face value.
Oh, man.
It was like, if they tell you your mom loves you, check it out. This is probably bullshit. Now,
do you know who this is? This is Nancy Wilson of Heart.
Oh.
Apparently.
I couldn't tell you.
It's Nancy Wilson from the band Heart.
Oh, what channel?
Where's the Barracuda? Is she driving a Barracuda?
Yeah, it's Nancy Wilson.
Barracuda. Oh.
But she is alone.
So, hold on. So, we had this one. We had Nicholas Coppola, because at this point, his two parts had already passed by, a.k.a. Nicolas Cage. He had where he was in the restaurant. They showed him working the fast food joint, All American Burger. They had him standing up at the bleachers doing, I think he just kind of got up and did some claps. And then that was it. I'm trying to figure out who else had basically a cameo size part in this, because it feels like there was a lot of blink and you'll miss it type of.
I think there's a few friends of Crowe and the director. Martin Brest, who's a director, is in it somewhere. I don't know which part he plays. But there's a couple of people, but I don't think it's as many as some other movies we've seen. It's not too full of cameos. There's a few.
it feels like they definitely brought in a handful name, and yeah, once I had no idea honestly this entire time that was Nancy Wilson. But to be fair, I'm not that knowledgeable on Hart, so that would probably be why I'm not knowledgeable.
Well, she's a big friend of Cameron Crowe's, I think, or was anyway.
Oh, well, that would make sense then. Yeah, obviously this is his book, so I get it. Have any of you guys read the actual book? Because I've never actually read the book, so I don't know how faithful or lack thereof.
I don't know.
Moderately, I know nothing. To me, like I actually for the longest time,
I'm gonna look it up anyway.
And apparently Bruce Springsteen's sister is in it, but I don't know. Again, I don't know where she is in it. Pamela Springsteen.
Yeah,
somewhere in the movie, and you've got Anthony Edwards and Eric Stoltz in small parts. So there's a few people here and there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people in the film in the background.
And there's a lot of big names who were supposed to be in it who didn't get it, as we mentioned earlier with Broderick, Tom Hanks as well. Like this, they were obviously shooting for the stars with this one. They were really trying to go all in.
Well, they were blessed in an era like we have never seen since, I'd say. Where, I mean, this was the era of the Brat Pack, right? Like the Brat Pack existed because there were so many young, up-and-coming, good actors and actresses, right? Like I can't think of a time since or before where you could just ramble off the amount of people. Like how many people in this movie alone became part of the Brat Pack, technically? I mean, shit. I mean, at least Jennifer Jason Leigh for sure. I mean, so like, yeah, I mean, if Phoebe Cates is technically considered in that group too.
I mean, you could potentially include, although they're in smaller roles, Eric Stoltz and Anthony Edwards, that we just mentioned. Anthony Edwards.
Now,
it's Brat Pack adjacent.
Holy crap!
But Tom, I agree with you. This is almost a unique era where you could do a casting call. Get a bunch of young actors who've been in television, maybe one or two movies that not many people saw, and put them together as an ensemble cast. Sprinkle it with a couple of experienced character actors like Ray Walston and Vincent Schiavelli, and they would click. And then it would fire half of these young people off into careers in different directions. I mean, it was one of those. It's one of those movies where you go, "Do you remember who that is? Do you remember who that is? Do you remember who that is?" I mean, that's like almost like a drinking game with this movie.
It is like a moving yearbook for Hollywood.
That's perfectly put. It is a moving yearbook. Dustin put in the private that the book of this is worth $300.
Oh, I imagine it's not easy to come by. It was pretty controversial when it first came out. I mean, the movie itself kind of banked on that controversy, and then, I mean, this also came out in a year chock full of amazing films. I mean, on top of it all, so.
Well, so how do you think this film was kept from being canceled or whatever?
The same way Revenge of the Nerds was absolutely blacklisted.
Success.
You want to know why I think the actual answer to that is, my opinion, is because it's based on true shit. Like, you can't deny that it's real, right? Like, the other stuff you can go, oh, well, it's a titty sex comedy. It's a this kind of thing. It's a that kind of thing. It's, exaggerated, da-da-da-da-da-da. In this case, you cannot deny the fact that Cameron Crowe wrote this stuff directly from observation, being undercover in a high school.
But given it, I mean, as well, Tom, produced by Irving Azoff, who's a pretty powerful producer, particularly and music executive, record label owner, that's a powerful producer. So, with that backing, it's going to get made.
Well, as far as being made at that time, I'm not surprised it got made. Yeah. I mean, really, if you look at it, this is basically a big budget after school special at the end of the day. If you really think about it, I mean, it's a cautionary tale about, premarital sex, and all that kind of shit, and living fast times. And
I mean, yes, it's R-rated, but I don't think it's too outrageous.
No, it's
I think
not.
the thing is I think the movie is much tamer than what the book is. That's my point.
Let's not also forget there were some of the earlier cuts of this movie were actually rated X because apparently
okay.
some of the sex scenes involving Stacy were a bit longer, and Mike Damone, apparently they show him naked in the rated X cut. So apparently they had to trim some stuff out to get down to the R-rated cut. So they didn't show his wang, and they removed that, and they trimmed down the sex scenes because apparently they said that was too extensive for the movie. So
it was probably the authenticity that really got to him, to be honest with you, because I'm sure, like, I know Amy did everything she could not to make them, you know, hyperbolic in any way or romantic in any way. Like I said before, she really wanted to really capture that experience, you know. And honestly, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, I'm sure, I mean, not everybody's first times is anything they'd like to brag about, I'm sure. So,
yeah, I mean, none of it seems overly glamorized. It all seems very awkward.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually how it is for most of them.
And that's probably another reason too, kind of going off of what I was saying before, besides the fact that it's real, you got the authenticity, it's not glamorizing these things. That's a great point, right, Dustin? Because like you could almost argue that it doesn't really make a teenager look at this movie and go, I gotta go get laid, right? Like, no, if anything, this makes probably a teenager going, well, maybe I should second guess this thing. Because you guys brought up the basic point. If there is like a plot or a story to this movie or a moral kind of compass to it or whatever, it is that the peer pressure that is going on in these two young guys' lives and the other, you know, and the pressure that Mike is putting on him, you know, he feels like he should live up to too at the same time, right? You have those three characters basically living out this dynamic, right? And it's all basically built upon the idea that all these other people are talking about these fast times, but aren't actually living them.
Right.
Like that's another point you brought up before that I think is really poignant too about this film, because the only two characters who actually really do anything in the movie, you know, is her and Mike, and the consequences of that. I mean, regardless of how you feel about the outcome, but you also got to think about it from the story's perspective that yes, this did happen. That's probably the outcome of it, considering it was a 14-year-old girl, right? Like, I mean, and this was actually pretty fresh off of Roe versus Wade at that point. So yeah.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So that was still very fresh and basically
within a decade, even like maybe even a couple of years. When did that actually come in? Because we're at what 50 years
like
now.
In the 70s, late 70s.
73. It was passed. It passed through this. It got the Supreme Court decision. This was 82, so it was 9 years.
Yep. See.
There was a few movies around this time had similar feelings.
Well, like I said, we got to remember also. Sorry, Brian. I just gotta say we also got to remember that when he was writing this, it was probably 2, 3, 4 years even before the movie came out. So the class that he was doing this with would have probably been like the class of 79 and below, or something like that, or even 80, or even farther back. So we got to remember that and keep that into consideration as well. Because I don't know the specific if he even specifies in the book, or I've never read the book. So I can't speak to that. So, yeah.
I just think that it's not that raunchy. I mean, it's R-rated, but it's not outrageously bad. I mean, as Nick said, some of it's edited, but I mean, there's Porky's, there's The Last American Virgin. There's a few
but see, they're fine
time.
with that shit, Brian. I know exactly why they did it. Is because it was too real. It was too authentic, right? Mm-hmm. If it was a 15, 16-year-old your character enjoying herself and whatever, then they wouldn't have no problem with her showing everything and anything.
Also,
it's usually about the context and how the character's reacting to it too.
These were considered more surprising and shocking back then. It wasn't like everyone's so desensitized to it the way we are now 40 years later. Even you can make even argument 30 years ago, people were a lot more desensitized to stuff. But this was, I guess you could say, a lot more cutting edge at the time, I guess you could argue on. So that is probably why.
Well, it was really
they're in the shock of it. That's probably their rating of it. Honestly, is probably based on an emotional decision and not a logical one.
Well, that's what I was getting at too. Is like the context of it and how the ratings board was usually kind of prudish about certain things. He missed some.
And hi everyone.
Hi,
We had
Bo.
lots of boobies in these movies, but you know we had.
You're
a
lucky
good
this
growing
isn't
up.
the open map version, man. There's more boobies in that version because you get to see more of his wall.
But we had we had a good growing up in the 70s, 80s. I feel sorry for you kids, because you didn't have any of those raunchy 80s or you know, just lighthearted stuff where this movie's not overly raunchy. I agree, like you said, but people weren't as brutish as they were today, or where you can't have fun anymore. So and who'd have thought that, you know, Sean Penn would have become one of, you know, considered one of the great actors of our generation after this role as Spicoli. But
I mean, I guess it may not have seemed that all that raunchy to us now, but this was an era where they were putting parental guidance stickers on albums, and you know.
Oh yeah.
So there was still
the super gore stuff. Yeah.
I
so that was
actually
the
got to
same era.
correct myself from earlier. I may be wrong. These places might be real eateries in California, or at least they were at the time. Because Jennifer Jason Leigh actually worked at Perry's Pizza for a month before she got the role as Stacy in the film.
Wow. It would be easier if they were real for the filmmakers.
Well, I know the place is real, but I figured they just dressed up a few empty stores to look like these places, so it'd be easier to control.
Oh,
it's a lot easier to do that than usually rent out a place, because you got to
this
pay
was
them.
way before parental advisory stickers.
Yeah,
Was it?
that was
well,
like
hey, we
90.
didn't have that in Britain, so
That was the
sorry I got my
90s.
timeline wrong. We didn't have that.
But yeah, we. Oh God, I'm trying to. Oh yeah. Basically, this is where you could tell this is the prom night. This is basically letting you know that the school year is basically it's getting to a part where people are going to be getting out of high school. They're gonna now finally move on with their lives. Some will go to college. Some might get married. Some might go to a trade. Some might go to the military. Some might do nothing. Some might just be sticking to being a surfer, which, you know, is really interesting because I know Universal Studios, apparently what's her name? Why am I forgetting the director's name? God, why is it not?
Wait, where's
Amy Heckerling?
Amy Heckerling. Apparently, she wanted the ending of this movie to be a bit more open to interpretation, like just kind of leave it up in the air, which I had no problem with. I think that's not a bad idea. But apparently, Universal is really insistent that you get a real sense of finality to all the events of this movie and where their characters going forward, because they felt like that's why they added in all the titles of so and so went on to do that, which obviously that was a very common thing to do with movies at the time when they would.
Go ahead.
Mark.
I got to call timeout here. I apologize. Did Dustin steal your beard, or what? Where's your beard? I'm just noticing. Where's your facial hair?
Mine started to encompass everyone's.
Wait a minute. What happened to Nick? You look naked. What's going on? Sorry.
We already did that. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Mark. By the way, sorry. I know we're. It's good to have you here, Mark. I heard mixed things about the show. We don't have to get into it.
You're very handsome. The debate.
Great. Yeah, I heard it was not good.
You're a lying dog faced pony soldier.
I'll just say real quickly, this is not we're doing fast times, but Kamala's a polished politician, actor, so she's got all the responses canned, but Donald Trump comes across as a real person, where she's just a fake, phony fraud. And
I didn't see her really coming off as real genuine, but I did see them ganging up on him.
Yeah,
and
Donald Trump
mic was not muted like it was supposed to be either.
Yeah, and so Donald Trump had a few good comebacks, and they kept fact checking Donald Trump, but never fact check Kamala Harris.
Fact check her ass.
The very fine people on both sides, and even Snopes, which is a very liberal organization, said that was phony, and so now you can tell when, you know, the thing was Biden was gone before, so. You know, there wasn't Trump didn't have to do much in that debate. She's a slick Willie, basically. So, and did you actually end up did you play my the clip that I'd made on that, or here might be a good time to play that?
We've done a few clips of the clips that you done tonight.
I don't know if you did this one.
He's a rogue, all right. Notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Fine women.
No, I'm not. You're a lying dog faced pony soldier.
Yes, are you his daughter, Willie? Willie Brown's daughter? Are you his daughter?
Oh, no, she is not.
Definitely not, yeah.
No.
But, I think it's going to be the debate's going to be spun that Trump lost by the mainstream media, but he comes across as the as the guy that can put forward solutions, and she's just that polished politician that is like the guy that runs for president in the high school class, like in a movie here where you'd like just got all the right answers, but it's just a big BSer, right?
From what I saw, I don't think it's really going to change anybody's mind at the end of the day. I think whatever their choice was before this, they're probably sticking with it, and a lot of the undecided people are probably still undecided after this, I bet.
And that's so Mark, which character are you most like in this movie?
Well, definitely not Spicoli. I guess probably Jeff Reynolds' character. Right?
I myself was leaning more towards Mark, even though Mark and I still have our contrast. I feel like he was still the closest one, even if we're still fairly far away.
Yeah, no, these are all great. It's just this movie seems so real, right? It's like you could picture yourself in high school with these guys, right? They're real people, so it's that's why it's so good. And we always growing up, we always quoted this movie, left and right, especially that the clip about my dad's got a toolkit, he can fix it for it.
I love that.
Whenever
he's a TV repairman.
He's got my buddy Robin always said he's got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it like
tools.
Like if we and I don't know if you played that one, but here we'll play it again.
Relax. All right? My old man, he's a television repairman. Got this ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
Whenever one of our friends screwed something up, like they throw out the break. If your friend broke something, you'd be like, "I can fix it, man." You're like, you can't fix this car.
Shit.
Oh, good.
Hostess, look at that old school Hostess ad. Oh,
Yeah.
that was great.
The Colt 45 t-shirt.
Yeah, Colt 45. This is such a funny
Malt
moment.
liquor.
This is a great scene here. Yeah,
Judge
we're almost to the
Reinhold.
end here, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh,
We
yeah. We're
are.
at the end.
I was gonna say
before
this
they
is
get
the
to
end here. Yeah.
Before they get to the credits of.
And
where they
I
go out
just
or
found
what.
out tonight. I guess I feel stupid for not knowing this, but I did not know that Jennifer Jason Leigh was Victor Marl's daughter. That's news to me. I did not know that. And I guess the character Mark is one of the only characters that's actually known in real life. It's writer Andy Rathbone is who Mark is based on. Okay. And he actually became famous for writing many of the For Dummy book series.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pizza for Dummies.
Dating for Dummies.
He spells his name the wrong way, but
Television repairing for dummies.
Right.
He's got an excellent set of tools. Or ultimate set of tools. What was it?
But I was gonna say that's a lot. Way back in the beginning of the movie when he's in the bedroom with Stacy and he's just too nervous and he leaves. Mark a rat. Yeah, I'm like, I'm just just commiserate. I'm like, come on, man, come on, seal the deal. And, yeah, it's just
right.
No, it's just so hysterical. But you can imagine that happen. It's not like it's supposed to be this raunchy movie. The kid is so nervous right that first time. So it's Cameron Crowe is just such a great writer.
And then our boy Judge Reinhold not only gets to take down the guy with a pot of coffee, fresh hot, but it's what literally leads him to becoming the manager of the store. He got his promo right out of high school.
Yep.
Dude, fruit pies. I remember being addicted to fruit pies when I was a kid, especially when they had the Ninja Turtles on the bag. If I saw Michelangelo on the bag, I was like, I have to have it. Michelangelo's on the bag. That's
right.
all I needed to see. It was Michelangelo's.
I hated those fucking vanilla pies, but I bought them just because of the turtle cards.
Those are the best. I miss the vanilla pudding pie.
I hated them, but oh god,
I like the chocolate ones.
But I had to eat them, or my mom would be like, "You ain't getting them unless you eat them." So I was like, "Oh, look, Mom, I'm eating them."
Did you have Tom? Did you have a dog at that time?
I did, but the dog wouldn't even eat the bastards.
It's Rosewood. That's Rosewood right there.
It is Rosewood. Yeah, it's Billy Rosewood in the making.
Yeah.
So Cameron Crowe went undercover in San Diego High, and the principal didn't like the idea and almost didn't let him do it. In fact, it wasn't until he had mentioned, because he was talking about the bands that he had worked with, and he had mentioned Chris Christopherson was one of them. And he was such a big fan that's what got him in. And yeah, this is kind of going off of what I was saying earlier, because I do remember Amy talking about the whole sex and trying to make it, not glamorous. She goes, I was trying to make sex seem scary and uncomfortable. So that was her approach to that. And not making this a salacious TNA comedy, which the studio almost kind of advertised it as that in a way.
Right.
Which it isn't. So yeah. And of course, I don't know if it says it here, but I'm pretty sure that they had to, here it is. When Mike Damone gives Rat his 5 points and says, in 5, now this is the most important one. When it comes down to making out, whenever possible, put on side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4. However, the soundtrack plays Kashmir, which is not on Led Zeppelin 4, but Physical Graffiti. This is because the producers couldn't get the rights to Led Zeppelin 4, which is really weird that Cameron Crowe didn't go out of his way, because he used to hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising, too, because I noticed
maybe
that, too.
He did try.
Zeppelin was famous for not allowing any of their music.
They were, unless you knew Jimmy... Unless you knew Jimmy or somebody like that, then you could get it, right? Like if you could get in there and get through. And Cameron knew these guys. Like he went on tour with them. That's what I was bringing up earlier. So I'm surprised. But like, if the fact that they got Kashmir was actually a big get, to be honest with you.
That's true. Yeah.
Because what movie is it that they took Kashmir out of? Oh, it's the Bad Lieutenant movie. Because the rapper used Kashmir as a sample without getting the rights, so that song has been removed from the movie now. The Bad Lieutenant movie with Harvey Keitel, yeah.
Linda Borat, attending college in Riverside. Yeah, that scene. I'm sure you went over that scene, but that's got one of the all-time famous movie scenes in teenage comedies.
This is definitely me. Having a passionate love affair. Wait for the next frame.
If I've got the next frame, if I captured it.
Well, no, it was.
Oh no,
still
you missed the
joke.
joke.
All the way was the next frame.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I'm not capturing these manually. They're captured
No,
automatically on a schedule.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
No, I know you're not.
I do everything manually. Yeah.
Mr. Hand does it manually.
Like that was me in high school all the way through high school.
So what was the following one?
This one right here, Mr. Handy. Convince everyone is on dope.
Everyone is on dope.
Saved Brooke Shields from drowning. Blows. Yeah. Well, that's not blowing money. That's a perfectly valid use for that money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
Awesome.
God, that's absolutely a good use.
You think Brooke Shields will know how to swim?
Yeah.
You would think.
No, that's why she was stuck on the Blue Lagoon. She couldn't get off the island, right?
Maybe she wanted Spicoli to save her. It was all a con.
Yeah.
And Jeff Spicoli is now 58 years old, and he's still broke.
Do you think Chris Penn? No. I don't think it would have been better. This was just straight up.
It's just hard to see anyone else.
This was the Sean Penn part. Sometimes there's people who get casted for certain characters, and Coppola. It just Coppola right there. There you go. He had his 2 brief moments in this movie, which apparently when he was on set for this movie, apparently he was being made fun of a lot for being a Coppola. Apparently that was setting the stage for him to becoming Nicolas Cage. So this movie was the beginning.
That's my family. That's not me.
This is the beginning of him. Like
you would wonder, like, how did he become a Cage?
I think Red Shirt finally got the joke.
This is the beginning of him letting the snake out of the cage.
But he didn't want to trade on the name Coppola, I guess.
I like the way the overlay falls here with Dustin just not covering up Phoebe Cates.
That's right. Well, we've had that joke. You weren't here. It was me that was over them. And I managed to maneuver into the right position to wear them. And I'm disappointed I don't have them now.
You were transitioning for us.
If I got those, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
Trust me,
Go
I
ahead,
would never leave the house again.
Go ahead, chat with your scores at Toxicity.
You'd be like, come on, 70, just show them just one more time.
No, I ain't got no Blue Oyster Cult. Where were you the last time they were here? Living in stereo.
Oh, life's a dream.
One of the best songs in the movie, not even on the fucking soundtrack. Although this is still one of the top 10 ever soundtracks of all time. Like, I mean, even though two of the biggest songs aren't even on the soundtrack, it still has a bunch of bangers on it. So,
yeah. Shame we can't play those bits, but
I know, right? Those bits, indeed.
Can't play those bits, those clips. Indeed.
So, we'll acknowledge Brian Barth here. He just puts overall 8. Soul Assassin says, take you a full buzz, and I give this film an 8 out of 10. We'll start off with 70s for his Toxicity.
Oh, Toxicity. Oh, jeez.
Are you sweating from that?
I'd say it's got to be an 8 out of 10 at least. I mean, there's a lot of toxicity in this. There's a lot of sex and drugs and rock and roll and pizza.
Now,
so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I don't know if I can elaborate on that. Just I think it's pretty toxic. It's toxic at the time. It's toxic now. Now people look at these movies and go, "Oh, that's awful. Look at all the problematic stuff in that movie." So it's I think 8 out of 10.
So far, this movie's still bulletproof, but yeah, I see where you're coming from. It's like time is doomed at some point to get canceled.
At some point, someone will start pointing fingers at it, and
you know what's stupid? It'll be because there's not a diverse enough cast.
Well, that's yeah. I'd say it's an 8 out. It's a good 8 out of 10. It's a classic of its time.
That's fair. You know, it's funny because you brought up Billy Rosewood. There is a Beverly Hills Cop connection to this movie. There's a couple, actually.
Yes. No, you are correct.
Not only is the guy who robs the store at the end of the film in Beverly Hills Cop as Axel's buddy who gets killed in Detroit.
Oh, that's him, yeah.
Martin Brest, the director of Beverly Hills Cop, is in the movie.
Well, I mentioned Martin Brest was in the movie earlier. Yeah.
Because that's Amy's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't hear you say that, but yeah. So there's a bit of a... And then chances are he probably met Judge Reinhold on this, because Judge was cast almost all 90% or 99% of the cast was already in place before Eddie Murphy was there. They were cast for the Sylvester Stallone film, so...
Well, you know that you weren't able to make it, but my show yesterday we did talk about the movie 10 to Midnight,
which is still one I haven't got a chance to see
Lisa
yet. But I want to.
Eilbacher was major role in that, and of course she was in Beverly Hills Cop. So
Ginny Summers,
yeah, she was the girl, the Goyle.
You filled out.
So yeah,
Brian Barth is it an 8 out toxic score. Mecca J 8.5. Dustin. Thoughts of toxicness?
I've wrestled with this because every time I see it, it seems to be more things that pop out that are toxic to me. But then talking here with like Tom and everybody, like it seems less toxic and more wholesome in some weird ways.
Okay.
But I still think that 70s is right on the money with 8 out of 10. Because I don't think it deserves a 10 out of 10 for Toxicity by any stretch. I think the things we talked about with Tom and everything, with the way that they portrayed the sex scenes and everything, I think that rolls that Toxicity back. Even though, like, my old man prude looking at him, you know, kind of as I've gotten older and how the movie has changed as I've changed over the years. So I think 8 out of 10 is kind of the sweet spot for this movie.
Okay. Cool. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's not like uber toxic, but you always say, like, you know, you look at it like through today's lens. So like when it came out, this was just the standard, comedy, teenage comedy, coming of age stuff, and it, back in the 80s, yeah, you'd have, all the teenage comedies, had some off-color stuff in it, but it was just considered part of growing up. And now, they're talking about some of the, the teenage comedies and saying there was, they were horrible, and there's graping in them now and all this stuff that when you watch the movie, you never had it. So yeah, I think probably a 7.5 or 8 is good with this movie, especially in light of today's day and age. But yeah, it's really kind of an innocent growing of age movie. And yeah, you've got the plot of the Stacy getting was it Stacy? Yeah, Stacy gets pregnant, right? And and having the abortion, and that subplot. So it's got some serious issues in there too. It's not just Spicoli, surfing and saving Brooke Shields' life. So it's a great coming of age story. So I'd give it, like a 7.5. I guess I go 7.5 Toxicity, but it's a 10. This movie's a 10 all around, not just for Phoebe Cates, but it's just these characters seem so real, and you can, as I said, you could picture yourself being in high school with these people, and they don't all, they don't become state senators in the end, senators in the end in the prologue, right? They're, they end up working at 7-Eleven, and they keep it kind of realistic, right? They don't go over the top either. So yeah, I think it was 7.5 is I'll stick with a 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. Tom.
I am going to go with what I just said a little bit ago and surprise you guys. This is one of the least toxic films we've ever done on Toxic Tuesday by today's standards, because the abortion thing, that ain't even remotely toxic anymore. In fact, they'd celebrate that now.
Yeah, that's true.
And the women have such autonomy in this film, they would celebrate that as well. Like I said, the only thing I think this movie would get attacked for now is that they would say, oh, it's not representative of California because of how undiverse it is, or it's not diverse enough. Even you would bring up it has Forrest Whitaker's character and whatnot in it. They're not wrong. He's like the only black guy in the movie, and
two black guys.
Yeah, and him and his brother are the only two black characters, and there is no other race characters in the film. That being said, that's what the only thing I could say for now by today's standards would be considered toxic. So by today's standards, this movie would probably be a 3. But by 1982 standards, this movie was like a fucking 15, right? That's the thing. People were scared of this movie, not because it's like Porky's or any other things like that, but because of how authentic it was. And because I'm sure a lot of parents at that time just didn't want to even admit that this shit was real. You know what I mean? They didn't want to admit that there could be a chance that their 14-year-old daughter was fucking some, 20-some-year-old TV salesman or something like that. You know what I mean? That's really what it boils down, or stereo salesman or whatever the hell he was. Yeah, stereo salesman.
And I watch out for those music people in the music business. Yeah.
Which is funny because in real life he's only 7 months older than her, but in the movie he's supposed to be 7 years, but or more than that. But yeah, no, I don't think this movie would be considered as toxic as you guys think. I don't think it would be canceled. Thinking about it, going through the movie, especially watching it this time. It's been a couple 5 years since I've seen it, at least, if not more. Actually, maybe about 10. Because I actually had to open up my Blu-ray for this, and I'm pissed that Criterion's got an edition I didn't know about, and then I'm just going to wait because they'll probably release a 4K of it anyway. So I'll just hold out and wait. Okay. But yeah, I just don't. I guess after seeing this, I don't think it's as toxic as we would think nowadays. What were you saying, Mark?
I'm sure I was just joking. Hold out like Stacy and Mark. Yeah, just kidding. Abstinence. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to, I was in high school in the 80s, 82 in my first year of high school. So I don't remember parents being that upset about this movie. I just think, it was, you're right though. It's really realistic, and you won't have to go through. The parents would go through life with blinders on, that can never happen to my Stacy, or So that's why I think this movie is so revered, because it's so believable, right? It's not far out fantasy like Porky. So yeah, I agree 100%, Tom. Yep.
Okay, excellent. So I got 11 alpha here. He gives a 7 out of 10 toxicity. The local writer would complain about the lack of diversity. That's true. They would. They absolutely would. Now, for me, I'll be very quick, and I'm going to say this movie gets a 7.5, actually. The Linda, a.k.a. Phoebe Cates, and Stacy were very toxic women who were all lusting over every guy that walked in their pizza place, even though they were youngins who were working at a pizzeria at a mall in the 80s. And
it's missing a gay character too. That's another thing they would bitch about. Sorry.
Missing an overtly gay character.
Overtly gay. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
And you saw the transition of Forrest Whitaker's eye getting lazier as he got angrier throughout the movie. Yes, that's toxic because you can see it getting lazier. So, you know, he had a Hulk effect to his lazy eye. Really impressive stuff. Also, I mean, God, Judge Reinhold
for disability.
Judge Reinhold, when he saw Phoebe Cates and then he went straight to the bathroom. Come on. You can't tell me that he was not being an ultra toxic man with that scene. Don't tell me otherwise on that. Language rises pretty cleanly. You could probably maybe argue that the guy who is not Richard Gere runs something with oh God, I'm already forgetting her name, Stacy, earlier in the movie. Only time you see him in the movie after they make love at the point and he sends her flowers, that we never see him again. He literally hit it and quit it. He was being a toxic man.
At least he sent her flowers.
He sent her flowers, yeah, but the thing is, he gave her hope, and then he crushed them immediately after by never talking to her again.
Well, he probably came on, or she probably came on too strong, I think, because I think she even mentions that they talked like once or twice afterwards, but she kind of like probably was getting a little too obsessive.
And maybe, well, obviously, I guess that could be all left open.
I mean, you're kind of left for interpretation in that sense, and I mean, I would love to have read the book. Because then I would have a little bit more frame of reference for some of this stuff, because I'm sure the book tells you a lot more.
And the more time you spend with someone who's lying about their age, that really does come through. Like, so she said she's 19, and then he talks to her more and more and realizes this bitch is not 19.
Yeah, and even back then, you still were looking at 10, 15.
Yeah, you don't want to screw around with that.
All right. So, Red Shirt, go ahead and do your score, and then we will plug our plugs on the way out.
Right. Well, I'm kind of in Tom's camp on this one. I don't think it's very toxic. I think it's a little more toxic than he gave it. The lack of diversity is not just, it's Southern California there, and I don't, there aren't. Maybe I saw one or two Hispanic students in the entire school, even for the 80s. That seems kind of crazy for
a little light.
Yeah, little yeah. It runs true to my experience in high school. That most guys, certainly most guys, were lying, and I could ask Mrs. Redshirt, she'd probably back me up and say, yeah, most of the girls in high school were lying too. So the fact that there's one couple that actually gets it on in the pool cabana. And it's a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And he's so incredibly inexperienced. He's not even sure he came. She's been with one guy before. She's definitely not getting off on it, because first time was the first time and it hurt. And the second time it didn't last long enough for her to even notice. Which is, it's just, that's the authenticity of it. And I like that in the sense that it's not a Porky's where, they're all, oh, look at this. We're going to do this. We can look through the holes of the girls. Yeah, right. Come on, give me a break. I don't believe that. The janitor would have pasted over those with plugged them with plywood or something long before they found that back of the shower room. But it's toxic in the sense that it doesn't have the diversity. I agree with Tom that yes, she gets taken advantage of as a young woman. But on the other hand, she has an abortion, so that would be celebrated. So that kind of cancels that out. But just in general, the whole attitude towards women and, the ticket scalper there, what was his name? Mike Damone. Mike is the ultimate poser. All he has to do is come up with $75. He's a ticket scalper, for crying out loud. You got to be able to buy the tickets before you can scalp them. How is it that he can't scrape together $75? And he's sitting there on the phone calling somebody going, you owe me $50. he's not scalping any tickets anytime soon. If he's only got $18 in his piggy bank.
Well, I was going to say, notice he doesn't really sell a lot of tickets.
No, he doesn't. He takes a lot of promises.
I was going to say, this is where I wish I would have read the book, because I bet the book adds a lot more context to these things.
Right.
But like, yeah.
Yeah, but he's the ultimate, he's the ultimate con man, basically. And he's the only one who actually gets to have sex in the film. And of course, he's absolutely useless. So, he is the ultimate toxic male from the point of view of the modern feminist. And I look at it and go, I think it'd be closer to a 4.5, just because the diversity, Mike Damone, and the teachers being disciplinarians. Oh my goodness, Mr. Hand. Would not be popular. Yeah, I mean, the teachers union would be picketing this movie over Mr. Hand if it came out today. So,
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, so it has its moments that we all enjoy, and it was a really funny film, an enjoyable film when it came out. It still is. It's worth watching. It's very much a period piece of the era. And yes, it shocked people then, but for different reasons. Nowadays, it would shock people, of a certain, a modern audience type. So I'd say it's about a 4.5, but it's not a horrendously toxic movie, even by today's standards. I mean, other than, the gas guzzling 1950s Buick that Judge Reinhold's driving around, that would probably piss off some environmentalists. And, I'm sure we could come up with a couple of other, special interest groups that would have something to complain about, but that's why I go with a 4.5.
Well, by the way, it's also California, because Judge Reinhold oppressed that poor guy who was just trying to take his $1,000 worth of stuff that he's allowed to take by law in California. So that's toxic. Right. He oppressed that poor guy.
Yes. Although
and Spicoli does use the F word too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but the guy he oppressed did in fact have a handgun, which in California is absolutely.
Oh yeah, that cancels that out. So
yeah, that almost comes out in the wash.
It's a wash.
Yeah.
So, Keely Chow, Toxic 8, Mr. Zenda 94, 5 out of 10 for Toxicity. All right, gentlemen, let's plug our plugs on the way out. Next week, we're going to go back to schools a little more, and we have a kindergarten cop in the classroom that needs to keep some kids in line. So we'll see how many need to learn that there is no bathroom. We'll find out.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
So
well, we're gonna get canceled for that movie for what it says about men and women.
Right,
yeah. Who would have thought that line would be controversial?
That's 10 for
later.
Toxicity straight away.
Right, that line alone is the most cancelable line of the movie. So kindergarten cop, it is next week. This was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Thanks, Frank earlier for his member comment. To all of you in the chat, I know there's a show that happened that was on the national, if not global scale, being watched. So the fact that you committed to us and the fact that most of you stuck around throughout the show for almost 2.5 hours is absolutely freaking awesome. So thank you. Shout out to Mark for getting us some videos and images. Thank you, sir. You didn't have to do that because I know you had all the right reasons not being your tech. I know you're very involved locally on the politics side of things, so I do respect.
Yeah, we actually
questions there.
Thank you. One of my friends actually works with the Trump campaign, so we had a couple of MAGA hats signed by Trump, and we auctioned them off tonight. I didn't win one, but he's actually in the administration, so which is pretty cool.
Oh wow, that's big. Yeah. Huge.
It's huge. Yeah. So don't listen to all this spin about this stuff about this debate. Yeah,
I'll have to watch it for myself and see. But regardless, I'll save that conversation for now. But seriously, though, thank you, Mark, for doing that stuff anyway, even though you didn't even have to. So that doesn't go unnoticed.
Covering for me. Thank you.
It doesn't get forgotten. Yeah, and shout out to 70s for
the
slideshow. He slid in nicely. it was like he had done it before. So 70s was definitely showed he was no virgin. He really showed he had nice sliding experience, very clean.
Did it with confidence.
Very, very confident in his delivery. He was in. He roamed around, and then
And I was there for an hour and a half.
So yeah, we felt the impact that 70s rock fan gave us tonight, and I feel like we got he turned us on so much that we got morphed into the 80s with this movie. So anyways, yeah, on my channel, I had a video out last week. I'll have a video out this week. Next week, Kindergarten Cop, Colby's Comic Shop Friday night, Midnight's Edge After Dark, headphone drop Thursday night, and of course, Comics Division's Thursday night throwdown. That's on my side. Chat, thanks again for being here supporting Toxic Tuesday. I hope to see a lot of you next week. I'm gonna let these gentlemen plug their plugs on the way out, starting with Mark.
Well, I could use some hair plugs, but I'll do the regular plugs. But plugs Biden, right? As Rush Limbaugh would call him. But yeah, so check out Sunday Night Geekery, big time hangout, and Tom's been there a lot, which is great. And 70s slid in at the end, which is awesome. But yeah, you guys are all invited, and we talk, the news of the week and a little bit of barbecue and cooking and what. It's just like a variety show of geekdom. So appreciate everyone coming there at 10:30 at night. And I've been posting a lot of shorts and from Comic-Con and Terrificon, and yeah, one of them was Bonnie from Five Fingers of Freddy, and I just saw I got like 25 subs for a little short, which is pretty nice. So check out my shorts as well. Oh yeah, let me get my link in here too. So let me put that link in. But yeah, that's always sorry I couldn't be here the whole night, but it's always a highlight of the week to hang out with everyone here and talk with all you guys. So it's always a ton of fun. So yeah, looking forward to Kindergarten Cop next week, and check out my channel if you have a chance. So thanks everyone.
It's a ferret.
I'm just thinking, if ex-prisoners have a convention, is it called a con?
Con, yeah. Nicolas Cage flies there with Con Air, yeah. So
Con Air Con. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I don't want to play policeman. I'm a princess.
Don't move or the bunny gets it.
Mark, I appreciate doing these with you, but I do not want to check out your shorts.
Oh, damn. I was hoping someone would check.
I wear short shorts.
Short. Boxers or briefs? What's the? I'm still getting used to Nick Weiser looking not like Nick Weiser.
Did you eat all of these lunches? What is wrong with you?
It'll all be back soon. Don't you worry.
Or not to be.
Well, the important thing is, what does your girlfriend think? That's the most important thing, right? So
she likes it, but she's looking forward to when it comes back as well.
I'll be back.
She's looking forward to running her fingers through that chest hair.
I told you I'd be back, and I'm going to be back in Toxic Tuesday next Tuesday.
Go Sons of RT with a C.
I never realized that Nick Weiser's facial hair had Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent.
He totally did.
He flushed me down the toilet.
All right, Dustin.
Oh yeah, so come check me out live. We go live on Tuesdays, just before Toxic Tuesday on Tuesdays. My wife and I. Tomorrow night, I am going live with a gentleman named Jess Perica at 9:00 Eastern time. We're going live. He and I maybe once or twice a month on Wednesdays. I go live by myself solo on Sundays, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and chat for about 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long my coffee lasts. And I put out random videos here and there and everywhere. I'm super excited about next week with Kindergarten Cop. I saw it in theaters. Super amazing movie. Super stoked for that. Yeah, I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be here all the time.
I'm glad you're here.
And I'm glad that, when I got here, I went from 6 to midnight and, and I was there all night. So, your chest hair, you got to be careful with what you show. You're objectifying yourself and it just turns me on. Okay.
Well, it is Toxic Tuesday, and we do get a little hot in here. So it shows you, even at their 145 episodes, we still find brand new ways to get hot in here.
Do you have any hot oil you could rub on yourself just a little bit?
Don't make him even hotter than he already is.
Look at that chest there, man.
Jeez.
Like, get some pizza grease, but
oh, like tomato. That was two different cheeses, right?
Some
there.
garlic.
Wait, is that an anchovy? Or are you just pleased to see me?
Let's start your boners.
Austin Powers time.
Dog in the bun, baby.
I came in through the back door.
In the ass?
Where's Gerry when you need him?
I know, right? Yeah. All right, 70s. Plug your plug.
Yeah, well, another great show. Thanks, Nick. Has that really been 145? It's almost one for every year I've been on this planet. That's incredible. So, for those who missed it, we had a damn good show, a damn fine show yesterday, even if I say so myself. Canon Film Club, where we talked about the movie 10 to Midnight, a low-key Charles Bronson classic cop thriller with horror slasher leanings. So a lot of fun that was. Check that out. Tomorrow night, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to go live about 8 p.m. Mountain Time with Christian Delorme, and we're actually going to be reading some of the poetry of Scottish bard Robert Burns, Rabbi Burns, who wrote many, many famous poems and songs back in the 1700s. Auld Lang Syne, of course, everybody knows. But, there's many, many others. We're going to be reading some of those. So a French Canadian and an exiled Scotsman who hasn't read them since he was a child are going to attempt to read these, and many of them are written in Old Scots. So that might be... I mean, I'm going to have trouble reading them. God knows how Christian's going to do, but we've wanted to do this for a while. So that's tomorrow night on my channel. And then there will be other stuff, I'm sure. We're not quite sure about next Monday's show. I was going to do originally a show about... I'm back to doing a show about music and talking about the Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet album and that era. But given the death of James Earl Jones, I'm sorely tempted to do a Conan the Barbarian show instead. So stay tuned, those who follow my channel. One or the other will happen, I'm sure.
All right, 70s. Thank you, sir. Thank you for stepping up, giving us a nice slip and slide. I felt the difference of every inch that you provided tonight. Trust me when I say I do notice the difference. So it shows. And have a great night and week and weekend. I'll talk to you in a few days, as I always do. And I will see you for more craziness. And Richard, do you have any plugs you want to slip and slide in? Oh, plug it.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Nick, as always, for at least tonight for this trip down memory lane of the high school days, DAZE days. Anyway, I am going to be on the Pop Culture Minefield channel on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central. We're going to be talking, and I hope Tom gets there. We're going to be talking about probably my favorite John Carpenter film, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
yeah. We're going to be going deep into Little China.
Deeper the better.
I love it, Red Shirt. Awesome. Thank you, sir, for always being here. Love having you around here. Have a great night and week and weekend. I'll talk to you as always soon in our group chat. And of course, the man who has Midnight's Edge in the Morning coming out in probably 3 or 4 videos sometime in the next week. Nicolas Cage.
It's Nicholas Coppola. Right. I was supposed to play Brad. They wouldn't let me. Bullshit. Should have been the star, but I'm not. I was in this movie. And I was also in another movie called Peggy Sue got married.
I was just gonna say, Nick, we need to do that movie on this show.
And I was in another movie called Con Air.
Oh, Con Air.
And I was in another movie called Batman and Robin. Okay, I wasn't in Batman and Robin. Okay, I lied.
What was it like? What was it like working with Jim Carrey and Peggy Sue got married?
Jim and I are good friends. We're good friends. He likes to hump carpets.
Hump carpets.
It's a true story. It's a true story. I wouldn't lie to you. It's mostly true story. It's like 99% true.
Do you like vampires, Nick?
I am a vampire.
Such a good movie.
Didn't you have a mansion in New Orleans? I've seen your mansion in New Orleans.
Anyways,
past it.
Go subscribe to Nicholas Coppola at Midnight's Edge. Midnight's Edge After
They
Dark.
call it the Rising Sun.
as Nicolas Cage graces us with his graceful, wonderful exit.
Butter and beans, beans and butter, butter and beans, beans and butter.
This show will redirect you.
How do you feel about bees? Do you like the bees?
Bees!
This show's
the bees!
This show's going to redirect you to Price of Race.
I'm going to be gone in 60 seconds.
He's going to be much more reasonable than us.
Good night, guys.
That could have been the name of this movie.
Go hang out with Price of Race.